Hello. 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 Hello.
Did you see it?
Yeah, excuse me. Am I in trouble?
Calm your rights,
No,
Paddy.
you're not in trouble, Bone. You're not in trouble. You just reminded me that, with the squat redeem, that when it comes to the squat redeem, two things needed to get updated. One of them I was planning to update anyway, which was the cost was going to increase because if you recall, when I first implemented it on Friday, it was 99 channel points. I actually made it like it was far less points like per 10 squats than it has ever been. Like, because most times it was like I had like the approximate like 100 channel points per 10 squats was like its original sort of pricing, and then when it came to this, like, you know, add an additional 10 at the advertisement only, I had it at 99. It's now been increased to 110, so it's slightly more than normal because, as it needs to be that. I can't keep it cheap forevers, because holy fucking shit, I will most likely die, especially when it comes to
Go suck a lemon.
if the emotes, hi there, furry cures, if the thingy-madiggy is done a lot of times in this first hour, because for the next like hour and so of the stream, there's not going to be advertisements. So like pressing the thingy-madiggy like on the dot and such like that is definitely going to exhaust me because 60 push-ups in like a single sitting is definitely tiring. And yeah, it's just definitely tiring, which has introduced the second thing that was not originally planned, but I feel like I probably should have had this in like ever since the squat redeem, like when it was getting like a lot of action, and peeps would be like right on top of it and clicking it all the time, and possibly all being like taking someone else's chance of being able to do the clicking and such. I've now invoked a per user redemption limit. So what this means is that the total number of limits with the thingy-madiggies it's still very high. I think I've made it where it's like, I think it's like 30 or 30 or 40 times this thing can be redeemed in a single stream. Like, let me double check. 30, yeah. So the thingy-madiggy can be done like 30 times, which means that like either because I go on for longer than normally possible or some other reason, I could end up with like 300 squats in a stream session, which I don't think is likely going to happen in the near future. But the second thing I've done is making it so that a singular user can only do the redeem like half a dozen times. Means the cooldown would have to be shorter. I would just have to be streaming for longer. Long ago, furry, long ago, in a distant land, GrantZeebs, the himbo streamer, used to be streaming for several hours in the day. 12 hours possibilities on Saturdays and Sundays. Then came a foolish-ish age, wielding chronic tiredness. I was going to try and do like a coup thingy, but basically there used to be a time that I would stream for like, like long ass hours. Like I'm not talking like 3 hours, like I don't know why, but anytime I put into my schedule, oh, hey, Twitch, I'm going to be streaming on this day. They're like, great. You're going to start streaming at 12 o'clock for 4 hours. And I'm like, no, be reasonable. I'm going to stream at 6 o'clock. And they're like, for 4 hours, right? And I'm like, no, that's too much time. Hard pass. 3 hours. And they're like, are you sure? It's like, yes. Then came me, which did 300 with his 60-kilogram ass. Then came you. Like 12 hours. So yeah, there was a time, Furry Curious. This was like in probably my first year of streaming as well. I would just spend like basically all day Saturday streaming. Like if you want to know content, like if I wasn't working on the Saturday shift, like what I did today, you would see me streaming from 9 a.m. and I would be going on until 9 p.m. It was insane. Hi there, Dazzy. Welcome to the stream. I know exactly why you're here. And oh my goodness, what is with you like laying down all like French lady sexy like in the golden chains? What's all that about? But yeah, I'm just explaining like how things have been different. It's what you do. You're just a sex appeal piece. Cookie for Hendrix. Alrighty. Where was I in my train of thoughts?
Go suck a lemon.
You go suck a lemon. I know, it's because I can't hear myself think is why. Alrighty. But yeah, so like 2 years ago, like so many hours into streaming, but back then it was like, I was like very lazy because I was like bonkers. I was back in the mindset of, and once again, I forgot to update the thingy-madiggy, the node graphs with all my props and everything like that. I have forgotten to do that. I'm going to need to fix that one day. It will probably not be today. Thank you for pixelating me. Thank you for the hyper himbo as well. So yeah, PSA for people that are thinking about streaming or have done the streaming and they're like, why aren't I getting popular?
Oh, this is beautiful.
Nice work, Hendrix. Congratulations. Thank you for being my biggest fan. You very, very much deserve that. Thank you. But where was I in my train of thought? But yeah, when it comes to streaming and such like that, doing a once a week, 12 hours like a week thingy-majiggy when you have a full-time job is Jesus fucking Christ, 98% himbo. Fuck, that's big. Streaming for like 12 hours in the day or something like that is, I don't know how, like, if that's your full time, okay, sure, maybe, but if you're part time, that's an absolutely insane amount of work. Alrighty, now to do the needful. Let's get you, and then I need to turn on
Ferricures
this one.
1221 has added quote number 429. Fuck. That's big.
Hello, Grant's chat. Apparently I'm here now.
Yep, you're there now. You're there. You're like this little tiny thingy-majiggy behind all the thingy. Let me make this a little bit bigger, so then that way, because there isn't that many people like rearing to go right now, and I'm still in a, I don't know, I'm just in a very podcasty sort of mood.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Who was that? In case, if you, I don't know how to say that. Wait, Benenton, but by the way, I don't know how to read that. Benenton. Dazzy, you're proficient in the Twitch names. Can you read that?
Hello.
I think it's I know Ben Anton, by the way.
I know Bennington, by the way. Hi, how are you? I am doing all right. Dazzy, right now. I just realized, because your whole thingy-majiggy is like, just
Yes.
like being Spider-Man on a ceiling, it looks like you're just gripping onto my tit, and you're just like,
Fine.
"Burn."
It's a safety thing.
It's a safety thing. You just
Hi,
need to be safe.
Hendrix.
Hi. Hang on. I need to click on a thingy.
Let me get my game up and running real quick. That's probably the first
Bennington.
step.
Nah, hang on. There's always maybe if I no, there's no like capitalization. Why don't people use capitalization in the username?
For what?
Like, so, oh, I just moved my entire desk. Hang on, I need to fix. There we go. I don't know why that's not locked. All right, there we go, locked. I don't know, like, some people, such as myself, GrantZeebs gets the capitalized G and the Z because I put that in there. Alvirus has capitalized the A. Hendrix has capitalized the H. Bone, same 30. Chase is all caps. Like, why don't some people, you know, do the thingy, do the capitalization thingy?
No idea. Also, hi, Jason. How you been, buddy?
Hello. It is I. Wait, it's I am Anton, by the way, in Dutch.
Ah, that explains a bit.
I don't know Dutch. I barely understand English some days. I'm absolutely
Yeah, I know
terrible.
that feeling.
Yeah. How are you with English?
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, I barely speak most days, but that's also because I just stream too long.
Yeah, nah. You stream like a heavy amount. Hang on, I need to lower like the music thingy.
70 hours a week.
Yeah, it's like that is more than full-time job at that point, isn't it?
That is more than is probably recommended by anybody.
Yeah.
Don't do it. If you ever want to go on Twitch, don't do what I do. I choose the hard way. I don't do any social media or networking or anything like that. I
did the wrong Desirus.
I just overwhelm it with numbers.
There we go.
As kobolds do.
So yeah, because anytime people ask me of like, oh, like how do you get to where you are and such, because that question does crop up, or they talk about like, oh, it's, you know, would like to be at your level or you know, your fame and such. It's like that. It's like, number one, I don't even know how I get to this. I just know all the things not to do.
Most of the things you don't do, by the way.
Yeah. So Because it's just a case of like because nothing about me should demonstrate like, oh yeah, like this is going to, like, as much as I love the form of content creation or like streaming and such like that, and that I play into some of those things, like such as regular scheduling, call to actions, incentives and different things like that. Cookie for furry cures. I am in the like advantageous spot of I have the full-time job. Like I can probably do the money sinks and such like that. So if like a particular like call to action or schedule isn't advantageous, I can just sort of say, well, fuck it. That's that. I put in the 50%. You can't fault me for not getting 90% of the way there.
No, that's agreeable. I
Yeah.
think the best way if you ever want to try streaming lovelies out there is first off,
Hendrix demands
never
you
go full
drink.
into Twitch. Just don't.
Yeah.
Second, if you ever want to start something up, I would recommend probably making a YouTube first because it's way more advantageous to have like a couple of like 3 or 4 really, really good videos, like really edited up and looking really good before you go onto Twitch.
Well, not even well.
Somebody will probably just find it and it'll just actually gain traction if it's good.
My first thought is like when people get into streaming and such like that, you first need to get into it with no monetary like thought. If you're gonna get into it and you're like, I can make some money off of this, you're already like faulted, because what it means is that you're now trying to turn something that should first be seen as a hobby into a job. Like that change of hobby to job should happen accidentally. It should happen with a whole like you're just committed to it or something, or rather like. And you're right, like, you know, doing you like if you want to be like quote unquote successful, like doing YouTube videos is a far better avenue than Twitch.
At least starting it.
Yeah, especially starting it, because
which is nightmare grind is the beginning.
Yeah, because the thing is that you can't get big on grind alone on Twitch. Like I think that's the biggest lie people have to deal with, is the idea of like, oh, like, you know, the goals are accomplishable, like to get to affiliate. You just need to have like 3 average viewers, 50 peeps, and you've streamed at least, I think it was like 15 hours in a week or something like that. And then
To be fair, I will say this. I am actually the outlier here because that's actually how I got mine. It took me 6 months to get an affiliate.
Yeah.
But I have really grown the past year because my affiliate anniversary was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So,
no. Okay. Yeah,
but
because it took me.
I would never recommend doing what I do. Ever.
No. Yeah.
Bad idea.
Terrible idea. Like I think most people, once they, you know, get into a regular thing with Twitch, it's a case of don't grind. Like if you think grind is how you do it, this isn't a video game. You've already lost, because if you're going by the rules of grind, you are already like a decade behind most other people who are doing this as a grind. Like Asmongold, Fennec, what's the name of that RPG like channel? It's like Fextra Life or something.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's like Fextra Life or something like that. Those guys, like, that is an organization, and their whole thing is they just stream all the time. And it's not even the same like streamer or something like that, but it's the same account is the point. So
Honestly, just have fun with it.
Yeah. No, and that's what I've tried to do.
At the end of the day, if you want to play video games and stream and you're having fun with it, it doesn't matter how many viewers you get.
Yeah.
And
So,
if it grows from there, great. If it doesn't, you're still playing video games and having fun.
yeah, no, it's like baking a cake. Like it shouldn't matter that not everyone is you know, going to the cake and eating and such and like that. But as much as you need to remember this, it's like it feels like oofies if it's a case of like no one's going there to eat it. So
No, one bit of advice to anybody who's trying to make Twitch a career: you will probably not technically be able to sustain yourself on Twitch until you're at like probably 10,000 followers.
oh, not
In
even
all honesty, like,
because
you
it's
got to
not
be at it for a couple of years before you can even consider that. So
yeah, because I think like some of the like one of the popular VTubers that was mentioned is Iron Mouse. One, she's still living with her family, so her cost of living might be nerfed there, but she's got a medical condition. And 2, she's been at this for 5 years before you know V Shoujo like, you know, took off and such like that, and she's able to do like all these like brand deals and donations and such like that. So me and Dazzy here, we're just like we just were done with our like furry money of like, hey Wolk, can you make us a 3D model? And then we've just used that as our streaming thing.
I lucked out. I didn't have any PNG or anything for my first 3 months, and then Wolk literally just he asked me to buy the Kobold VR chat model from him to just fuck around with and use for. I think he wanted to make me a render. I said, "Oh, sure," because I know Wolk for 10 years. I said, "Sure."
Okay.
Then he made me a PNG, and then when I hit affiliate after 6 months of streaming, he just said, here's a VTuber model." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Brilliant. 10 years, Jesus. Like I've not
I've
known him
for a long time.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, because one, you kind of also broke one of the other VTubing rules, which is like, oh, don't start with a like a huge ass 3D model. Start with a PNG.
No, I started with nothing. My first 3 months was nothing.
First 3 months were. Oh, okay.
Second 3 months were PNG, and then after that it was the model that Will gave me. But also, like, there's many rules of like you probably shouldn't start as a variety channel. It's probably better if you do one game. But I said fuck that. Shouldn't stream 11 hours. Did affiliate. It really fucks up your average.
Yep. But yeah, I'm iffy on the whole don't do variety off the get-go, because I feel like that's probably like if it's like you want to speed run it, it's like, yeah, no, absolutely. You find a category that isn't explored a lot and you just make that your thing. So then that way, where's my brain at? Where's your head at? Like speedrunning rules, it's like, yeah, pick a niche thing in Medigi. You'll grow faster from there, and you're more likely going to be able to get people to keep with you because as you're going from like a niche thing to a popular thing and growth and what have you, rather than jumping from one thing to another. Because playing something that everyone else knows about is not gonna do you like any sort of like competitive edge. Like, you play the popular games because they're popular, not because you're looking to grow.
Well, that's the first thing. You shouldn't really see it as a competitive edge because it's not really competitive. It is and it's not.
Yeah. All right.
I mean,
so yeah.
You can never compare yourself to any other streamer, in my opinion.
Oh no,
Because
absolutely.
they might have been at it for 10 years, or I know some streamers like Wolk has only been streaming for what, 3 months? But he has his entire Telegram group, following going into it too. So
yeah, but also here's the other thing: is Wolk has been streaming for longer than 3 months. Wolk has only been streaming on Twitch for 3 months. The trick is one, he's an artist, and two, he's on. He did his streaming on Pictaro because you could do like not safe for work stuff there.
Only for like 6 months though.
That's still a case of, he did like the work. He knew how to do some, like he knew how to do like, the actions on the internet and such like that. And then, back to the first point, he's an artist. So the Discord, the Twitter following and all that kind of stuff, those all helped him out. He wasn't, starting from, oh, everyone's first impression of me is going to be streaming.
Oh, and then he also had me, Zephora, Scribbly, Kusaku, everyone just fucking raiding his ass the first day. I remember his first stream. I was shouting him out, and I accidentally typed /raid only like an hour into my stream, and I was like, oh shit.
Oh, so did you have to do like I think it's called a hit and run, where if you raid into someone, you stop like on OBS, you stop the stream, and then you press start again. Oh, okay.
I just said, fuck it. Just keep going.
Okay, all right, okay. But yeah, no, and I think like, now that you mentioned that, like, the third thing that now comes into my head is the fact that, like, it technically comes into the first bit of him being an artist, but the third bit is he engaged with the community before he started and such. So, like, one person, Blue Foxy Nicey Icy, I'll give him a shout out as well. Oh, he is not in me thingamajiggy, so I have to try and type his... Wait, no, I can just go to a stream and copy his name and paste it. I'm an idiot. There we go. So yeah, so Blue Foxy ICIC was a name that was in a lot of people's Twitch channels because he was a moderator for a whole ton. Like he's a moderator for this channel as well, but that's sort of that almost started as like kind of a meme because he was just a moderator for so many that at one point I was like, Jason and Code may not always be here, but if Blue's here and they're not, fuck it, I'll just make him a moderator. And because he, did the moderation for not even small, like a wide variety, like small channels like me, but then big channels like Mega or Fabo Kona, I think, and a few others. It's like, hi, Jason. Like he had like community ties and such like that, which I think leads into like the second bit about how to speed run it through the Twitch community is make sure you have friends. It's the biggest hack that applies to both in and outside the internet.
Go suck a lemon.
You go suck a lemon.
By the way, real quick, do we have others joining us?
I have not gotten word from everyone else. Last month was a bit of a, like, I will be real with you. I was not able to do a very good call to action on doing a, hey, like, you free for this thingy and all that kind of such, I'm sorry to say. So, because I know...
If you want, I could ask Unity if she wants to join.
Yeah, no...
Danny.
I thought she was... Hang on, didn't I? Hang on. I'm friends with her.
She's in her Discord right now. I can go say hi real quick.
Yeah, hang on. Didn't I not send her a thingy McDiggies? Oh, no, I didn't!
I'll be right back.
Alright. Alrighty. Dazzy is gonna BRB. I have done a terrible job in trying to get peeps of like, oh, hey, I'm doing like a community thing. Big himbo moment. It's hard, okay? It's hard doing the setting up thingy-majiggies. Like, this is only like what, the third or fourth time I've had to make this like thingy-majiggy, like this whole community thing. And what's more is like for some reason some of the stuff in here isn't even working up to snuff. Why is there a logon system?
Emotional damage.
Why is there a logon for? Because I'm opening up like Goose Goose Duck in the thingamajig verification email sent. Oh, I gotta click on things. Nothing has been planned. This is shaping up not to be a really good one. Like, because this is only like the second time I want to say Dazzy's been in this, and I don't want him thinking that, oh, I didn't do a good job on this one because of Goose Goose Duck or anything like that. I just honestly did not do a good job back in July of reminding people of, hey, there's going to be a game. Would you like, because normally I probably send out like a dozen requests on, oh, hey, are you free to join in because you have experience with streaming and what have you to play this game? And then they'll sometimes give a response of like, nah, sorry, got prior engagements. So, and then I end up with like, I don't know, maybe 3 or dun. She's asleep. Darn. Alrighty. Okay, so that thingy-majiggy is working. Check the thingy-majiggy. There we go. We're in. Apparently... It's asking me for a gaggle thingy-majiggy. GrantZeebs. There we go. There's my thingy-majiggy. Click the little collect button. Close this. Is there a way for me to mute this? Or actually, I can Alt F4 this. Alt F4. Did that do it? Or is it just about to crash this game? Hang on. Oh, I need to pull Dazzy back in here. Hi. So, I just saw your, like, message in the thingamajiggy. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Like, hang on. Was Kep said they'd have a look. Code is working the night shift. I wanna play. Goose Duck tonight. I'm just sending a call of action of like, I can play for a bit. Oh, that would be great, Jason, if you can join in. Do you have Goose Goose Duck? I need to minimize things and then. Oh my gosh. It's at an unfortunate moment like this that I now look at my like list of peeps that I've communicated with Discord in the past, wondering, hey, have I made this person a friend, and can I like invite them to things? And it's just sort of like a no, you've barely communicated with this person.
Maybe that's just Sash.
So.
I don't think this is Wolk's kind of game. To be honest, I don't think that's gonna.
It is going to be honestly like a tricky sort of game to get into because, like, I remember when you first like sold this to me, I was still having the very fresh thought of Among Us and some of the other like sort of party games that are like, oh, there's a it's like the werewolf game or what have you, where it basically sort of devolves it, because what it is like at the very start is it's just social ostracization, the game, which I only have like bad memories because some of the games were just like really poorly, like the mini games in the thingamajiggy were just poorly made. So
Chat has come together and thinks you should do 10 squats during the break.
Break time already? Okay. But yeah, Brain. It'll come to me after this break. Hang on a sec. I gotta do 10 squats. You think you can do 10 squats with me, Dazzy?
If I was in the computer room, yes.
If you weren't in the computer room, what?
There is physically not enough room for me to get up on my chair and do squats.
Oh my goodness. Alright. Here we go, chat. 1, 2.
Otherwise, buddy, I definitely would.
3, 4. This is gonna be the easiest squat break. 5,
You're
6,
suck a lemon.
7, 8, 9, 10. That was an easy. Oh, the easiest of what's some whoosies? Easiest of squat routines. I only had to do 10.
So I will add one thing to this game, though. This game is honestly quite fun.
It is like it's free to play as well, so
it's free to play. It's the mini games are way better than Among Us. There is one factor: you have to have 5 people to play it. Legitimately,
you have to what? Sorry,
have 5 people in total to play it.
Oh, you need 5.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We got me, you, and Jason.
Hello.
All right, give me a second. Actually, what I can do is I can go here and then turn off the intro fighters.
Downloaded the game.
Yay, Jason! Alrighty. You're gonna need to run it, and it's probably gonna ask you to like create an account and verify, because apparently it doesn't do it off Steam or anything like that. SS Moon ejects into space, cameras, vents, and jail. Okay, so this is classic. Wait,
I would recommend doing draft. What's up?
Oh, draft is a variation where you are assigned a hidden player number. On your turn, choose between one of 3 roles at the start of the game, or select a random role. Who are familiar with Classic. Oh, we're not familiar with Classic, though.
Classic is just Among Us. This is just Among Us with roles. So you have killers. So either you have a goose or somewhere decent, a duck, or you have like, you know, serial killer, vampire, sheriff, all that good stuff.
Oh, I haven't done the tutorial.
You really don't have to. In the meantime, might as well, though, while we're hanging out and vibing.
You're suck a lemon.
Tab should be your map, by the way.
Yep.
Well, Hendrix, buddy, good night. Take it easy, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, to move here to the hatchery. The fuck is a hatchery?
You got this, Grant. I believe in you.
Yep, I did the 1 kill, and now sabotage with E.
It's left control. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
It's the mini games.
Yep.
So basically, the way it works is, once you have done that, it'll be easier to show you on a normal map. But once you have actually unlocked that, you can now do this. Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you press tab real quick, it'll show you the map. Maybe it's not a tutorial, it's not a tutorial. But basically, there'll be a bunch of minigames like this, which unlock sabotages.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why if you see somebody hanging out when there's too long, you know they're probably a little sus.
All right. Classic.
Oh, it's way better, furry.
You haven't completed it. It will only take a few. Do you wanna? No, I'm good. You can always go back to the tutorials later. Cool. Alrighty. So yeah, Jason, you can join us in the voice chat. You're a moderator, so you can either jump in or you can go into the stream waiting room, and I can drag you in. And then.
All right. I would say copy. Don't show the code. Well, it doesn't really matter. You can click copy in the left corner and then post it in the stream chat and then pin it.
Yep. All right. So what I'll do is I'll paste the link, and then pin.
You should do the code.
Oh. Well.
Where's this link take you to?
It says gaggle of fun, so I'm imagining...
it literally just takes you to the code.
Wait, seriously? It just says, oh, this is the code. Oh, and then there's a launch game button. And there's all this, like, text.
Also, Sash is down to join us.
Awesome. That would be great. All right, I'm going to drag Jason in. Hello. I'll need to shrink the thingamadoogies. Discord figgy. Shrink them down to like here. Donk.
Hello.
Hi, Grant. What's bird 1 and 2?
Privacy mode. Hang on. Oh, there's microphone thingamadoogie in here.
Oh, that's right. We have to be in Discord. Let me just press M real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Sash is here.
Where's... How do you... You need at least 5 players to start the game. Oh, yeah, it doesn't even chat. Okay, so... Hang on. How do I... Because I'm going to be real. Like, I'm going to need... hang on.
I'm trying to help you with it.
Censor, chat... No, sounds, control... Where's the thingy-madiggies? How do I... Because I turned on, like, privacy mode or something like that, so...
Go back to... Oh, let me look at myself. Also, I'm probably going to leave Discord here in a second and just use the in-game chat.
Alright, yep, no, fair enough. Okay.
Or I'll mute in Discord. I'll mute.
Yeah, alright. I'll probably mute my Discord as well, then. So yeah, because it looks like I might have to leave and then go back in. Sorry, because then I'll be able to fix the thingies. Hang on. Alright, press... Yep, so that's muted and deafened my thingamadoogies. So now if I go play, host game, we'll go night and day with body disposal, privacy mode, private, create game. And then... Whoomp. Alright. So now if I go copy, and then I paste. So that's the new thingy-madiggies. The basic demon chases and freezes a player if they make contact. All players will change form into a randomized demon, and the name of players will be removed from everyone but ducks. After the sabotage ends, all cosmetics will revert to normal. The sabotage creates a bell randomly within the map. If it is not picked up in time, a special meeting will be called where a random nun-duck, nun-dodo will be ejected if no one is voted out. Emergency meetings cannot be called, but bodies can be reported. The sabotage will result if unfixed. Emergency meetings cannot be called, but bodies can be reported. Alright. Want to add, they will be invited to the... Yep. Invite them to the friend list. And then requests. Accept. Alright, let's see how this goes. Boom, and then unmute and undeafen that. Yeah. There we go.
Hey.
Hey, and we can hear you.
Nice.
Awesome.
Hooray.
Hooray, hooray, hooray.
I'll do.
It goes. It's like, I will be real with you. I did not plan this very well, even though I should have every time I finish one of these Saturdays, I should have like a good month of like being able to do plans and such, and then maybe get that sorted in like 2 weeks and such, but I still do it, what the hell?
Nothing.
Oh.
What's up?
What's up?
This is why you guys are interested in playing this. Just farting on me, is it?
No, it's just this
Press
game's
F.
great, trust me. I don't think Grant actually has a fart to use yet, though, just the sound effect.
Yeah, because
I mean, the sound effect is fine.
I'm jamming F and nothing is happening.
Oh, you might have.
the noise
Have
is
you got
coming in.
silent but deadly turned on?
Nope. And then input is
Like,
based off voice
in
activity.
sound effects.
They haven't gotten any of the farts yet, Sash.
I know, but he can't even hear the sound effect.
No. I can hear all
Jason,
yours.
if you want to join... Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Jason,
but if you hit
want to
F,
join, you have to click on
Oh,
the,
there it is. There is a noise.
pin message in the chat,
okay.
and then enter the code to join the room, and then that's it.
Yep. So
Also, Dazzy.
Yeah.
Who the heck did we play with that named themselves Darth Shitlord?
I have no idea.
Why do I have Darth
I feel like it was
Shitlord on my
good. I
friend
don't know.
list?
1,221 paid me to say Grant. You stinky for that.
oh my god.
I just looked at my friends list. I'm like, wait, the fuck?
Crazy.
Sash, about 2 weeks ago, I had, because we have a lot of newer people, I had like 20 people at the same time being, it was Daryl. And I just sat there like,
Oh no!
and it wasn't like 1 or 2 people, it was like 20 plus people.
Is Daryl like a meme name or something?
You need to find the clip, Dazzy. You need to pull out the highlight
I have
and
a
put
3
it.
hour, I have it on YouTube.
Good. I look. just
What happened is,
highlight
Grant, we
the
played
link.
Sea of Thieves, right?
Yep.
I think it was like, I want like 24-hour streams or some shit like that. So I was tired of shit.
Hmm.
And we're playing Sea of Thieves, and some random dude runs up to us, and he's typing, and he's like, "We friends? We friends?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And then, I shit you not, we're just fishing. He's one person, there's 4 of us, and he tries to steal our boat for a joyride and crashes into a rock. And I had to babysit him, and then he tried getting me a bunch of fish and buying the boat off of me, and I'm just like, Daryl, go to your room.
Oh my gosh.
Dazzy, that's not even the half of it, dude.
No, it's not. It's just an explanation.
Hmm.
But Jason, did you figure it out, buddy?
Hopefully they like so.
Like Dazzy's sitting here going, "Can we please sink the ship and kill him?" So he goes away, and I'm like, "Dazzy, it could be a kid." And he's like, "I don't fine."
Fuck them kids. All right, we
At one point, I
need.
think I shouted, "I'm going to talk to your mother about this, Daryl." And I have no idea what their name is. I just named them like a very
All right.
a very shouting between your teeth name.
Hmm.
Daryl.
Alrighty. I am going to... Hang on. There's got to be...
Unless the old code's still in the pins.
I might have... Actually, yeah, it might have been the old pin. Hang on a second.
Like, did you when you changed rooms? Did you
Go
change the
suck a
pen?
lemon.
Because it would have changed.
Yeah, oh no, the most recent message is the... That I've pinned is the one that, like, FWKVBHQ. Like, it is that
Hey,
one. Hey,
Jason, let's go, buddy.
Jason!
Quick, fire him.
Whee!
One of us now. He sent it.
Brilliant. Alright, so now we need to get a 5th person. And I need a...
Let me message Rexon.
I was asking Unity, but she's asleep now. I think she wanted to join, but
This is the problem. There's not enough Australians that I'm friends with that want to play with me, and then most of the peeps who are willing to play with me are over in the States where it's like, what time is it right now? 4 a.m.
I mean, we could plead and beg Wolk to join us. It'd be funny to see him try to deduce anything.
It
I
would
said,
be
like, I
funny.
said,
That would be.
But he would not take our shit. He'd be like, I don't care who it is, it's Dazzy, kill him every time. I don't doubt
Okay,
it.
but he would. He probably
He would. That's what I'm saying.
too.
All right, hang on a
It's not
sec.
like I think what I said. Wolk wouldn't do shit, but like that's what I mean. He would just kill me.
All right, hang on. Let me find Wolk in the telegrams. Hey.
Get some tea real quick.
How many E's? Or is it the E's or the Y's that you extend to do the hey? Is it-
Why?
what?
I guess that depends on the connotation you're going for.
It's just sort of a case
I thought
of
just do a hoy.
hey,
like if you do it with all the e's, like it's hey, it's like.
Wait, we lost Jason. What
But
happened?
if you do it with the y's, it's like hey.
Well, no,
Like, you know.
no. I feel like with the way you described the Y's sounded more like, like more flirty than the one with the E's. Like the one with the E's just sounds like, hey, like, hopefully you're not busy. So, I think it's the E's. Hey,
Pinky.
Dazzy and I would.
Oh yeah, Pinky would be down for sure. Would Rose be down?
Love
Rose is usually down.
I
Wow.
messaged Rose,
No.
and she is set to away.
Goose Goose Duck. I'm gonna send this to
Nope.
them in
Would
direct
be down,
message.
but he's probably asleep.
All right.
Good is offline, so I'm assuming asleep.
We can message Menace or Goodrich. Fine, I'm gonna get some tea real quick. Or Pez probably.
Rose is going to work, sadly. Hmm.
I need more Australian friends. Like, it's a critical thing. Ripper! Hi! Ripper, you wanna play? Some people do not realize I am introverted, especially when I make like really quick remarks like, hey, wanna play? So yeah, this is me like standing in the middle of a stage with a singular light because that's the most I could get working, and I'm just sort of like, quick. Maybe if I ask really fast, the embarrassment won't catch up with me.
Go suck a lemon.
You go suck a lemon, furry cures. Hang on, who else? Who else is in the thingamajiggy? I can see who's.
Oh, wait.
Normally I don't call out people that are that are just lurking. Just looking at all the different names here of like, rightio, who lurking, who merkin? Who in the world is... Some of these names I'm like, who? Dreps. And then good old Commander Root. I absolutely love his tools. No, that many. How do I talk in the game? Oh, gear icon.
Talk.
And then there's like a sound, like just double check the device for your sound. Because like mine's set to voice activity, but it looks like you can do like a push to talk thing. And then push to talk is...
Brent, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I was just experimenting with push to talk.
Yeah, I would just have it normal and then just press the button whenever you want.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I
I tend to just mute my own mic. Okay, Tatsu's downloading it, which hopefully will take like 2 minutes.
Yeah, it should be,
Oh,
like,
That
It's
at
a
least gives us
very
a
low
fifth.
fucking impact game, yeah.
really quick.
Not like Baldur's Gate. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah, no, Baldur's Gate was a huge thing. Like, Code and I were like, talking about this, like, 2 days ago. Where it's like, oh, we gotta watch out for it. But thankfully, I was, like, working from home that day, so I was able to just hit the install button or what have you during the whatsamahoozies, the brain, like while I was in the middle of working. Yay, friend. I think something broke with me trying to make you my friend, Dazzy. What do I do?
Yeah, I tend to break everything I touch.
Yeah.
Watch out.
All right. Hold on. So if you press
I see
escape,
Tatsu and chat.
yeah, Tatsu's there right now. Jason is still having whatsamahoozy problems.
If the mic is not coming through, Jay, try changing to a different mic and then changing back again. I have to do that every time I play. I don't know the fuck why, but that's what works.
Weird.
It's because your crazy Australian sorcerer makes the water revolve around backwards when it goes in a drain.
That's actually a myth. Like
Spikes.
the
Is that actually a myth? Oh, I didn't
yeah,
know that.
no,
That was real.
that no, it's a very common thought, but really the hemisphere, like the whole north and south thingy-majiggy, doesn't dictate whether they spin clockwise or anti-clockwise. Like existing like flow physics like does that. It's not like you can, say pour the water like north facing and it will start spinning clockwise. And it will start spinning clockwise only in this hemisphere. If you point it north, and then it will somehow like like splash, and then like somehow only do whatsamahoozy only do counterclockwise when you're in the southern hemisphere. It's like it's more based on the rate and velocity of the water, not gravitational stuff. Hang on, I'm just gonna send...
True Ripper, true.
Hey, Jason, are you able to share your screen in the Discord? So then that way I can give you, like, maybe a little bit of, troubleshooting to see what's happening?
Hi, Tatsu.
Alright, so that's Tatsu. Hi there.
Hello.
Hello. Alright. Wait, who should give me... Alright, so... Why does Jay have an eye? Is that like a... Oh, because he's looking at the game information. Okay. But yeah, gear icon in the top right. Device set to something or other. Input mode, voice activity makes it so that it's based off of your voice. I'm gonna undeafen myself just to hear if Jason's just saying anything in the Discord.
Hey.
Sounds good.
Damn it!
Hello.
So, Tatsu, how you been, buddy?
I'm doing okay.
Alright, I can view the thingamadiggies.
But we watched the Good Omens season 2.
Alright, so it's using... Oh, so you have push to talk turned on, Jason. So be aware that once you're out of that menu, you would have to press T in order for your voice to be projected.
Sorry, like that. Can you hear me now?
I heard that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alright.
Everybody can hear me?
Yep.
Cool.
I hear you, buddy.
I just like left the Discord call. Alright. So Oops. Alright, so do we go to this portal, or... Also, I need to stop the...
Oh,
So
we
Jay
all
needs
click
to ready up.
And then you click start game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so start game's at the bottom here. Went to my PC to make sure it was downloaded for after dinner. 700 megabytes. Better make some room on my SSD to ensure that this powerhouse of a game doesn't get bottlenecked. I don't think this is a powerhouse game. Alrighty. So... Okay, so I need to go north to do the secret... Oh. Can I talk to you? No. Alright, so I need to do... Alright, so that's the first task done. Oh.
You know how it is. It's the usual wellness check. How we all doing here? Everyone alive?
Yeah.
Dazzy, we're not doing this again.
Can we like vote for
Dazzy, we're not doing
Dazzy?
this again. Yes, we can.
No!
Actually.
I followed.
There's not even rules. I'm a goose.
I followed the sun symbol, thinking it was a marker on the mini map showing me where to go, but it was not that. It's a sun.
What symbol?
The sun
Oh,
symbol.
this
the top
map's
of the
weird.
mini map.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
also the day-night cycle. It's real weird.
I just went with the
Oh,
first
yeah, the
map.
day-night cycle's crazy.
I just went with the first map. I
Yeah,
thought it
this
was
is-
like order of release.
Yes,
No,
this is
it's
the
the
newest
newest
one.
Does it have to be a unanimous? Oh, okay.
Yeah, majority
It has
vote.
to be.
All right. Wait, is it? Titan. All right, cool. Okay, so I just went into the hospital. Chapel. Ooh, the ducks are... Oop. Hello. Alright, so do this, and then... So, why is there so many jobs? I got so many that are just sweep the steps. Oh, Just shake this thing as much as I can. There we go, and then... Yay!
Hey, we
Wait,
did
who
it.
else
That
did
was
you
quick.
kill?
No one.
I'm gonna be real. I saw you like jumping around, and I love that my first thought is I'm not trusting anyone. So
You should
Is
make it draft mode.
okay,
Better.
So it's time to make a reference of Sashera.
sus.
What?
Yeah, Sash is always sus.
The only
Can I
person
speak
I
to
murdered was
everyone?
Dazzy.
Of
And that's
course
after
it
I
was
spent
Emily
20
and
minutes
Dazzy.
fucking looking for him because for some reason I couldn't find him.
All right,
I'm
I'll
looking for just me.
Yeah, why wouldn't I?
disable spectators in the lobby. No, do that.
I liked it. Oh, I can talk to this guy.
Discussion time 45
Oh, he
seconds. Yeah.
talks about sabotages.
All right, so yeah, draft is a variation of classic where you are assigned a hidden player number. On your turn, you choose between one of 3 rolls at the start of the game, or you select a random roll. Okay.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Honk honk.
Aw, conk. Sour Cream, you want to join us?
How do I fart? I forgot how to fart.
Join us, Sour. Join us.
F.
Give it the goose side.
F for fart.
Yes, those are metal straws, Ripper. I have a throne, and, like, it's not 100% helpful for viewers because, because of what's a Mahuzi. Because as a full-grown adult, if I want something, I'm just like, oh, I want that, and so I get it. So most of the things I don't get for myself are normally because I can't afford it.
Fuck.
I feel that, Grant.
Yeah, like I need someone needs to like recommend things to put onto my thing. Like I don't know.
Right now, all my friend stuff is computer upgrades.
I did not read what my task was. You can. Okay. Oh, okay. So you still get to. All right, this makes sense.
Yes.
No. I love how I just say no as if somehow I could not consent to this. It's just like I do not consent.
Where am I going?
Sash, you chill. Sash, you chill. Sash, you chill.
Yeah, chill.
Dazzy's being sussy.
Hi there, Husky.
Shut the fuck up.
Wait,
Oh,
can
sounds
I-
like Sash immediately for French.
What?
You're an actual fucking moron, Tatsu.
Okay, so
So Tatsu is a sheriff. I was a vigilante. I was asking if they were chill. If Tatsu kills as a sheriff kills an innocent player, he kills himself as well. So it was majority death. So fucking killer won.
okay.
What the fuck?
All right, because I was, it was called Pelican for me, and I don't know if like Sash heard me,
Oh,
but
you
when
have the
Sash came up
best
to me,
role.
for some reason I decided to just go, no, as if somehow I could consent.
So
Yes,
I don't
here's
know.
the thing.
I
So
don't know. I don't know if you heard me say I'm sorry either.
It was a 50,
if you know what the roles do, by the way, whenever you get a roll, if the I button does what you do.
Chat has come
Pelican
together
can eat
and thinks
people.
you should do 20 squats.
So you were saying, Jay, I
during
cut
the
you off a
break.
bunch. My apologies.
Yep, I gotta do my 20 squats. Hang on a second.
I was executive.
Dazzy, the reason I killed you is because it was a 50-50, and I bet that Sash did again. Kill her again.
It was a calculated risk.
Datsu,
but
if
damn,
I
it's
was
that
the
bad.
killer, Datsu, if I was the killer with only 5 people, I would have shot you immediately. I'd have just killed you and kept walking.
You know.
I wouldn't even ask how your day was. I would just you know.
Also, why
I
am
mean, you
not-
did my job for
I
me,
always-
Tatsu, but it's fine.
You
How do I
did.
change my color?
13.
So as a little kind of segue, so there will be, with the 5 of us, there'll only be 1 killing role as a killer,
And one neutral.
which is the red backgrounds. But then there's also the neutral roles, and Pelican is one of the neutral roles. So the idea is the killer is in it for the killer's
Suck a lemon.
team. The innocents are in it for the innocents teams, but the neutrals are basically solo players trying to do their own shit. So the Pelican's job is to eat everyone.
Okay.
That's just it. That's how you win. That's your win condition.
And then,
There's
you've
one
got
that's
Dodo.
called, the Dodo's win condition is to convince everyone that they are a killer and get voted out. Not die by a killer, but get voted out. And then they win.
So do I need to follow you around, or what happens? I haven't played this game before.
I think it was a case that
What
enough
happened?
of us was dead that on the next round, Sasara would have been able to defeat you or something weird
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's an advantage win. So if there's 1 killer, 1 survivor, killer wins.
Yeah. Oh, very curious. To explain what the Twitch message is of the whole I have done however many squats since keeping count, that's my total squats ever since keeping count of squats. Like, since yesterday when I changed how squats are done. So, with hopes, that number is gonna go to like a crazy amount by this time next year.
Hell yeah.
Let's go.
I believe in you, Grant. You got
Okay.
this.
You didn't even do any. You were like, oh, I can't. I am just a humble kobold in my computer room who cannot even stand up.
Okay, as a cult,
No,
I'm gonna have
I
to prove
legit
you wrong.
can't,
I'm
like,
doing 10.
I would
I'm
have
doing
to-
10 squats right now.
You can go for Tatsu. I actually have to leave the room to do squats.
What?
To do any kind of. That's why I had to play VR sitting down. Yes.
That's not a
I
that's a
am pinned
closet.
against the corner in my chair. Yeah, I'm pinned against the corner by my chair and Sarah's desk.
Is
That
10 enough?
sounds like a
'Cause I did
skill
10.
issue.
Good work, Tatsu.
It
feel
is.
like that is
I don't
good.
earn enough shinies as a kobold. I'm a bad kobold.
Yeah. Well, I just live on my
Either
own.
way,
Skill issue.
that is sad.
So Sarah, it's not a skill issue. Being monetarily like constrained is not a skill issue. That's a privilege issue.
No, I was saying in
Yes,
terms of Dazzy not
Sash.
being able to do squat was a skill issue because if his problem is the desk, then he needs to stand on the desk, clearly.
No. You do not test desks with
What?
like existing equipment and then decide to do squats.
Excuse me, Sash? They don't stand on the desk, they clip into the desk and do squats through the desk.
Oh, yeah.
and Grant have fused.
Yeah.
We have Grant Fuse. We've become one.
Yep. Wait, where did Jason go?
I think they
Might have
disconnected.
crashed.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
This
I
game
a
can
friend
have some
request.
funky issues sometimes.
I'm trying to be friends with
From
Dazzy
Jay.
and it's still
Jay
telling me an
added
issue.
me.
It's like, you want to add Dazzy?
Don't
yes.
sweat it.
And then when I click it, it's
Yeah,
like,
I'm also getting.
is success false?
It's probably because I am currently playing on offline Steam, so somehow making it work. I don't know how.
I think it was also because, you know,
Dazzy is
I sent a request to you as well. So there's just like the fun little issue of like I've got two pending.
Wait, Dazzy, do we have the same part?
No.
No. Alrighty.
One of these
I
days
thought- I
we
thought I
play the
saw
game
her.
by just sitting still on top of each other's bodies like this and have somebody kill the first one.
Alright, hang on.
I thought we already did that.
Here we go.
Where's the real duck?
What is join us? Or was there Grant? Oh god.
Come on. I just need
Sash
it.
join the collective.
Oh, no. And then...
Join us,
Oh. Ah.
one of us.
You're just gonna be hearing farts all night. You can hear some very great
eyes.
discussions about, you know, the socioeconomic strains across different members in our little chat.
Oh, Dazzy, you know how I play a stupid barbarian in one of my campaigns?
Yes.
He got possessed in today's session,
Mhm.
then exercised.
Okay.
So now he's no longer dumb and can speak fluent, very posh Elven.
My question is,
jeez.
did he get exercised by a barbarian literally doing exercise upon you?
No, he
The answer
was
is
in
no, I'm
constant. He was
disappointed.
in constant pain.
Hang on, I'm just gonna.
He had holy water thrown on him,
undeafen
salt.
myself for a second. Jason, you're good?
You're gonna what?
But because I rolled a nat 20 and Arcana check, I got
Oh,
like
it's dinner time. Okay.
a very big
Jason's getting
flashback.
dinner.
Jason's getting
One
dinner.
more still.
Rippa's having dinner. Furry Cures is just laughing at the farts. Who else
But
is?
yeah, I had like a massive flashback because I got a nat 20 on an Arcana check,
Mm.
and basically had a vision of the spirit that possessed me, all of his backstory. So I basically gained 2 intelligence and also learned their language
Hmm.
because of getting
Hey
that nat
Sash,
20.
do you think that Livy would be down for this?
Livy? I'm sure if you asked her, she'd
Yeah.
be down.
That'd be nice. If we could,
Hasn't she played with us before?
because
I think so.
we need a minimum of 5, and it looks like I can just grow
Yeah.
this thing to whatever size we need it to be. So
My God,
Oh, I think it's a
imagine this
maximum
game
of like
with 100
16, so
people.
yeah.
yeah. So I've just sort of been like
Zero,
managing it
100 people would be whack.
like this. So ooh,
Sorry.
hang on.
Oh, in other news, Grant.
I'm gonna shoot my shot. Unless, hold on, are they streaming right now? Sorry, what was another news, Sashera?
I fixed the clothes.
You fixed the 3D clothes.
I did. There's a couple of minor clipping issues, but other than that, they're fixed.
Nice.
I still would
Now I
learn
just
how
have to do the
3D
textures.
properly.
All right, I'm shooting my shot. I'm
Well,
throwing.
we're gonna have 3D Club soon.
Woo.
That's cool.
So I should probably check in with Cap. Because I know she wanted to play as well.
He's busy.
Blue is.
I love how when you stand
streaming.
still, the
Destiny.
camera just zooms in on your fucking character. It's like, you want to see yourself closer, don't you?
Alright. Puffin is playing the Payday 3 beta that I didn't realize was available this week.
Yeah, it's
Oh
Saturday.
shit.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 days ago?
No, it was for a period of time, and I was like, oh damn, I wish I knew about this, because I think by the time I realized it was like on the what's-a-mahoozies, the TikTok where they were like, ah yes, closed beta is happening, and I'm like, oh, I'm probably gonna get some news about it. But then I had a friend at work being like, check it out, and it's like, oh, you've been invited to the closed beta, and I was like, fuck, it was that kind of closed beta. It was a closed beta we can join in on. It wasn't just like, here's some like content creator codes. Thank you for the hyper
hey,
himbo.
sign up.
All right. All right. Minimize this. Close that. Ah, darn.
Side note, looking good for Dark and Darker soon.
That's good. That's nice.
Yes.
I literally keep money in my bank account just in case it comes in.
All right.
Has anybody here seen the new what should I call it? Fate Grand Order movie trailer? Looks fucking phenomenal.
Did you what?
There's an anime called Fate, and they have a new trailer today. And the animation is some of the best animation I've ever seen.
Like,
I haven't started Fate. I'm terrified.
do not get into Fate. Just save yourself.
You're not wrong, Grant. You're not wrong. But it's not like the Fate Stay Night, Fate, Zero movie series. It's not.
But it's part of
Grand Order
Fate.
series.
I don't care where it is on the quote unquote timeline. It's just not a good idea.
You don't have to worry about the lore. If you want to watch cool fights, Tatsu, watch it. That's all you have to know.
I'll watch TikToks
I mean, I'm
involving
currently
those
watching
fights.
for Once Piece.
Once Piece. You're
I
on
accidentally said Once Piece.
Once Piece. Only once will you watch this.
I just finished the episode where they all got back together finally after the time skip.
Oh, that's good. So you're at Mermaid Arc?
Almost.
I think so. They're just about to leave the island on the pirate ship.
Speaking of, you lovelies out there are One Piece fans, tomorrow, Gear 5th is revealed. Let's go.
Ooh. Well, to be fair, anyone that was reading the manga already knew about Gear 5th, but it will be for the anime goers, and gonna have like an absolute fucking ball of a time, hopefully, because the budget has been...
Go suck a lemon.
You go suck a lemon, furry gears.
Yes.
The budget has been like very iffy about like, some scenes in One Piece during the Wano arc, but then there's other scenes where it's absolutely fucking fantastic. Like I still love the fucking comedy of fucking Big Mom like throwing a giant fireball, and it's like the three like rookies are just sort of from the worst generation are like what are we gonna do about this? And Luffy is just like it's like first person to dodge is a weakling, and like even like Trafalgar's like this is so dumb, but yet he's down. He's down for it. Like they're just their faces are squishing because they don't want to dodge, and it's like I just love how it's like
want to die.
It's like just photo finishes of like click, all of them standing straight faced, click, a little bit of neck movement, click. They're all like they're all leaning backwards and
getting ready to die.
And they're just watching for the other person of like, I need to like, I'm not moving until they move. And then they just end up getting fucking blasted. Oh.
Yeah, but then you see this scene where it's oh god, what the fuck is
I can't wait to
Yamato?
see what Gear 4th
You
is.
see Yamato talking to Ace, and then like she realizes like Luffy and Roger are very similar. It's the whole like Miyazaki-esque scene. It's so good.
Yeah, it's because, and it's like where we're getting the thingy-majiggy about Jobai. Hi there, cute panda. You want to play?
I'm excited to see what Gear 4th is, because I haven't even seen that yet.
Hang on. No, so normal gear. Gear 2 is the speed thingy-majiggy. Gear 3 is the inflation. Gear 4 is the inflation with the hotkey.
There's 2 Gear 4s. And then there's Gear 4.5, which is Snake Man.
Yeah, which is... So yeah, and now Gear 5 is what we're gonna...
Complicated.
It's not that much.
It's not that complicated.
Because it's taking us years to get something new. It's not like Jujutsu Kaisen, where I'm struggling to follow like Jujutsu Kaisen's like current like power rules and such like that, because they've been talking about all kinds of different like techniques.
Lost Sash!
I think she crashed.
All right, I am just gonna make this session never unpin because I'm pretty sure it's the same room code so long as I don't crash.
Yeah.
I just
As long as we don't change games, it's
Keep me
it's the
from
same
being
code.
freaking idle.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yep, it's kicking you for being
Get started
idle.
on nerd.
So yeah.
It's been pretty good.
No,
so
but
far,
Grant's right
the
though. All
second
these
season.
gear changes are within like a couple hundred episodes, minus Gear 2 and 3.
Yeah, because
But Gear 2 and 3 are hyped up in the movies, which is where they're originating.
yeah.
I still haven't seen the movies.
Because here's the thing: is that like the
you
the different One Piece crew, like they had their techniques and such. Zoro has one sword style, 2 sword style, 3 sword style, and Sanji.
And 9 sword style.
That's I feel like that's a bit of a
Sanji-
gimmick. We've
Sanji
not
by
seen
way
9
has
sword
a sword
style
style.
since it was demonstrated during the.
That's not true.
Really? We've seen it after
seen it
the
twice.
water arc.
Yes, yeah. After
I've
Enna's
seen
lobby,
it
you see it.
twice.
Yeah, 2 or 3 times.
Because he
very
used
rare.
it against.
It's
He used
very
it
rare.
against Kuma when they first lost to Godsend. Fucking miles
That's
away.
true. And they use it post time skip as well. I think it's during. It might even be Wano.
But yeah, but there you go, Sashara.
that's-
Like
that's what Zoro
the
was
the
like,
power
oh,
scaling for each character is very easy to follow. Like when it's literally just 1, 2, 3. Luffy, what's his power scaling? 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the only thing that was ever like thrown in that was like, what's different to devil fruits? Like how does someone like Roger become like one of the greatest pirates when devil fruits are out in the world? Then you're like, he was just that good of a pirate. And then like 500 chapters later on, you learn, there's a thing called hockey, and there's 3 kinds of hockey. And it's
To be fair, we see it early on too.
we see it early on, but it's never given a
I think
name.
it was about
confused.
episode. I think it was about episode 4.
No, it was like chapter 1. Like
No.
Like chapter 1 is is the earliest demonstration of hockey, which was Conqueror's hockey.
Oh yeah, it's with fucking Ace, not Ace, fucking
Red Shanks.
Shanks.
Red Shanks on a Sea King. Like that's the first like quote.
Yeah.
Like that's everyone's like when they look at hockey and like how it works and such. It's like yeah, we've seen it as early as this. We've seen demonstration of it.
I was specifically talking about what they call it hockey though. About 400.
Yeah, hockey was mentioned during the Archipelago arc.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it 18 plus? The game itself? No. This stream, I just put down as a yes, because I don't want to deal with underage kids.
Same.
Hello.
Hello. So yeah, because someone decided to like, while I have my thing marked as mature of like, hey, I'm going to watch this streamer. Yeah, this looks fun. Joins into a game with me. Granted, it's Fortnite, so I should have seen this coming. They were under 18, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm going to need to be a little more explicit about, because while none of this content is like, catered to being able to be viewed by under 18, at the same time, there's nothing that I do that is, making it so it can be for 18. It's just coincidence. So, just...
By the way, Grant,
Like, I try and keep my stuff say so, but at the same time,
Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, mine's not that lewd either, comparatively to like Unity's, and I
Yeah.
just don't deal with kids.
Yeah, because my honest thought about the thing is that like sometimes you just don't want to deal with kids, and I feel like there shouldn't be like if I don't want to deal with kids. It's like I don't want to have to go and like put down every mature content warning about it. But I would. Sorry, no. Let me reverse that. I would just rather not. If I was given the option of being able to say explicitly, should kids be watching this? I'm gonna opt in for a no, even though there's nothing about this that is like most like hitting most of the mature thingies. It's like this isn't super gory. I'm not really that heavily profanic, and sure, some people will think this is like hypersexualized, like the big booba and all this kind of nonsense. It's like it's not 100% exhibited. So rather, yeah, it's just annoying that it's like, if you don't want to deal with kids, you have to like make it very obvious not for kids. And I'm like, that's kind of... Why can't it be like YouTube, where there's a check mark for, is this for kids? Yes? No? Just put down no. Don't want to change the 5% of my content that's unsuitable to be a proper 13+. That's probably a good way of putting it down, Ripper. Like,
Yeah, like I stream to have fun and just chill.
Yeah.
If I have to monitor myself, which I do all day, every day anyway, because I work in a medical profession, no.
nah. It really is.
I
And
thought it was a child torture chamber.
I mean, it basically is.
it can basically be.
I thought you were
So
a
that's just like the
vampire.
blood
I
of
thought you
children.
just drank their blood.
Click on the
You think kids like that?
click on the link, Cute
Why
Panda.
not?
You should then be able to join in the thingy-madoogs. Although if you are under 18 after this conversation, Cute Panda, you know what's gonna happen.
So I know, Keep Panda, this is basically Among Us, so if you know the game mode of Among Us, or the game Among Us, and the mini games in that game, it should be second nature to you.
Oh, it's Tatsu with the keyboard noises.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's Tatsu.
So I was like, I
I
thought,
don't know how to turn down my gain.
probably,
You could add a noise gate.
yeah, you can add a noise gate. There's a sensitivity meter. I wonder, wait, if the sensitivity meter is like at
sensitivity meter
0,
is
does
on
that mean
full.
you guys can hear like every sound?
No, it's when it's higher that it's. That
I
it
can
makes
hear
happy
that.
sound.
Okay.
Like. That's at 100%.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, hey, welcome in, Panda.
Hi.
Pangolin.
Hello.
Excellent.
Point.
Welcome.
Alright, I'm gonna up my sensitivity back up to 5 because that's what they put in.
I have it at 2% and it still picks up my.
Enabling
Where's your
echo
mouse?
cancellation may
That's it.
not work for all devices and may
It-
cause the microphone to
is
stop working in some
Close to my
circumstances.
keyboard, but where I'm pressing my keys is far enough away that it shouldn't pick it up.
Echo cancellation. So moving some
Yeah.
Is it a desk?
By the way, Grant, as you
Mine?
play, you unlock outfits right up here.
I got a Yeti.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
You can
you
hear
might
my
have to adjust your
keyboard and
Yeti
mouse.
settings, yeah.
Yeah, I'm turning
I
down my gain.
have
Where is my... Okay, so I'm on
Pencil
S's.
chat.
Nope.
Yeah.
I don't need any amplification. If you turn your sensitivity all the way up, does that mean that you won't have a chance to hear?
Actually, let me see what happens if I put myself on 100%, because I'm at 5 on the sensitivity.
Hi.
100% sensitivity.
I think it sounds the
What's
same.
happening?
Oh, yeah, because...
This is the lowest my gain will go.
I'll put mine at like about 50.
Actually, I can probably put mine at like 20, because I technically have like all these like different VSTs going off because of the Wavelink software.
Okay.
Oh, Wavelink is fucking, yeah.
It is honestly
it,
awesome.
goddamn it.
Christ. Hang on.
Like, two things I recommend in turn, like hardware wise, Elgato like has just always been like probably one of the best of like the streaming brands out there, especially because of Stream Deck, Wave
Elgato.
XLR, and most recently their whole like rigging kit, like the stands and the arms and such. The only thing that's like cringe is their sound dampening and this like green screen desk mat that I have, because I accidentally purchased too expensive of a desk mat that's too big from Blue when I was at Furdu.
I mean, I don't know. I think Sash is pretty cringe.
Hey.
Okay. Now I would hope that my levels can go. It keeps on wanting it to be at 88. I can turn it up to 100 and that's fine. With that night to it, I suppose. There's no.
Oh,
It makes you quite quiet.
It
You
made
have
you-
to turn it down.
yeah. I think
Yeah,
88
it
is
wants me
good.
to be at 90.
88 and 90 is probably good. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Except for 99, like that year was.
I just want a cute dress. This game doesn't have many cute dresses.
You're a duck. You don't
I don't
need
know
to
any
like
cute
try to be
dresses.
cute. All right.
Let's
Panda, you
do
wanna
it up if you want.
pangolin? Are you a panda or are you a
Yeah, yeah, it was
pangolin
a
in this
friend.
game?
Pangolian is just a funny. It's more of a nickname.
which is an entirely different animal to a panda, though. Like, it's got scales.
I made it up. It's Pangolian. Alright? It's a panda that's a magician.
No, but there's an animal called a pangolian, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, there is an animal.
Calm down, Willow.
You already suck
Like,
on
look at
lemon.
this little
I
guy.
think it's a pangolin.
Stop
No,
asking
it's
questions.
pangolin.
Okay, pangolin. Sorry that I didn't
Pangolin.
say this correctly.
It's the little armadillo
Pangolin,
looking
yeah.
guy.
I'm a Pangolian.
There you go.
It almost just sounds like I'm from I'm from a mountainous region in Asia somewhere.
Alright.
Pangolins are adorable. I want one as a pet. Too bad they're endangered, so I can't.
Alright. Pangolin in Mongolia. Oop. Oh wait, can I do? Oh,
What's up?
sup? You're not doing anything weird?
Not much.
Okay.
It's coming over, then you sounded sus.
Yeah, because you farted, and I was like, oh, okay. Stop following me. Thank you. Okay, so I need a... Oh my gosh, can't I accelerate this? Be very, very quiet, chat. We're doing chores. Oh, okay, that was easy.
I love the.
Wow! Wow!
I was literally about to kill you two.
I am impressed
That
that
was sus.
I knew Dazzy was a little bit sus, but I thought he was fine when I was like, please go away, and he just was like, yep, okay.
I'm the mortician, like I was like the mortician, so I had
Well, you can check what the role people or who killed. No, she's the
Yeah,
roles
who killed-
who are.
the roles of people were killed.
What Pigeon has to do
Sadly,
is literally
Dazzy's
call
win
on
condition is
everyone.
just to sneeze on everyone.
It's just
Half the
like,
birds,
look,
though.
Jack!
Yeah, the way it works is I have to seize on everybody's alive, minus myself.
Yep.
So if anybody got killed, I was just good to go anyway.
Worst case scenario in the social
Yeah.
ostracizing game, you die. Best case scenario, you're just doing your job, and then, you know, the murderer is found somewhere completely unrelated to you.
To answer your question, Dazzy,
And then-
is the bandit girl.
Oh,
Looks after
Donna.
Luffy and that. Yeah, I love Donna.
I'm still gonna find out who Luffy's mom is.
You know that, like,
So good.
the games, they used to be around when I was a kid. They still are, but you have to, like,
Ripper.
Like Neopets?
no, not that. I'm not that.
Oh. It's just funny. It's just like asking Panda a question, and then it's just like, and cut. Hey.
I don't. I don't trust you.
No.
I don't
No,
trust you.
Dazzy, come back. Dazzy. Dazzy. So, Sash didn't trust me. I wanted Dazzy. I tried to look for Dazzy, and then I found Panda's dead body. Over, like, where the stocks are.
So you didn't see Dazzy behind me?
Yeah, 'cause
No.
I was right next to Sash.
No, you ran away from Sash, and I was trying to find you, Dazzy.
Well, I was
I was
following
trying to
Sash,
avoid
which was
bodies.
up to. I was going towards the alchemy area. I'm right above Apothecary, going towards Crime Alley.
I'm bird
I need a
And then I
map.
saw you, and then I saw all three of you guys.
'Cause
There's a map right there.
I thought you went
saw
south
next to
from the
Sash, and I got
cemetery.
scared.
Like, because I went through the chapel.
Well, I backed off, and then I went back forward to see if, like, maybe Sash or Sash killed
Oh,
you.
no, I wasn't meant to click on someone. No. Oh, shit.
Well. Oh my god,
All I did was.
I'm just gonna sweep these steps. There we go. Ooh! I found coins. Hey, nope. Once it,
Oh, fuck you, Dazzy. Fuck you, Dazzy.
once again, I saw someone and I was like, oh, if I say no.
All I did
Poor
was.
Tatsu.
All I did was.
Poor Tatsu.
Tatsu went to
I
sleep
want
with
you
the
to,
fishes.
Tatsu, I'm the one who voted on you. I think Grant actually voted on you. It
feel
worked
like-
out so well.
I feel like it was like, you know, in Italian movie, like horror films, like where someone dies, like, you know, like an Italian mafia sort of death, like they've gone to sleep with the
Don't
fishes.
suck a lemon.
Yep. There's a lot of good things.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep. Alrighty.
I'm going to now die immediately
How
because
could
Sash
you
will
do
just
this
kill
to
me.
me, Grant?
It was a misclick. As
Yeah, sure,
as the great Moist Critical says, it was a misinput.
I see.
You accidentally done it. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. It's a misinput.
Accidentally.
You calm the F down. It was a misinput.
You're out of order. This whole court is out of order.
Moving out to get it all set up, so it should be good in the next round. Excellent to hear, Ripper. These rounds have been very
Chat has
quick.
come together and thinks you should do 10 squats
They don't
around
last.
the
They last a lot longer with the more people we get in, but with 5 it is a bit trickier. Oh,
Oh, that is the first time I've actually seen the pelican image, and that looks disturbing as fuck.
it's incredibly
it-
disturbing.
It's like,
Right, time for squats.
it's like how I feel after I eat a lot.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, there we go. 10 squats. Set the thingy-madiggy. Hello. You wouldn't murder me while I was in the middle of squats, would you?
Grant,
No.
hurry, come here. Grant,
No.
Right.
No.
Grant, I'm a gravy. I can't die if I'm with you. Grant, I'm serious. Are you good or sus? Be honest.
No. I don't trust you. Oh, where's the...
To the left, to left. I'll watch. I'll keep eyes.
Alright.
Here. Tatsu, go.
Wait, what? Grant is pelican. Grant.
What?
I mean, oh, sorry. I was looking.
Wait, give it to someone else?
Ripper 253 with the 2-month tier 1 sub. I saw an ad and was offended.
Why
Now
was I
it's
given a
fixed.
bomb? Ah, thank you for the sub, Ripper. I really appreciate it. Wait, did the entire what's-a-mahoozy thingy-madiggy... I should have checked that. Hang on a second. I should have kept an eye on, like, my, on my what's-a-mahoozies, on my... Because there was, like, an update where Twitch's alert box, you can make it so it affects the entire screen, so it also includes, like, the things outside the video player. You did this to me, Sashara. You did this to me.
Is it gonna go?
You did this to me. Can I speak?
So we know it's Sash.
Okay, cool. So I'm hoping from Dazzy's.
I mean, she won. She saved the day. I don't know if she earned the win.
told you I was the one with the
You saved my life.
I'm clicking as fast as I can.
The fucking
Here's the thing.
As soon as
Here's
I
the
heard
thing.
that bomb, I was like, I'm fucking saved whether I die or not. I'm not standing this man.
Here's the thing. Tatsu, there's two options here. Either we both just vote out Sash and get the easy win, or we vote one of ourselves out. And Sash gets
Or I
the
could
end
just
of the day.
murder Sash if we all.
Do it. Come on.
What?
I'm vigilante, so I
wait.
could just murder.
Let me see what happens if I do like a random
I'm so
Do we,
gift
do we
sub.
want to make this interesting?
You know what?
Like if I
I'm gonna just do. I'm gonna skip. I'm gonna just do some shit, and you guys can go kill each other.
like
I
if
don't
I
know
click
anymore.
this
Hey,
button,
hey,
Grand
Sash.
Zebra.
Hey,
can
Sash,
I-
let's go.
oh, no, I can't get
One
the
v
sub
one.
there for whatever reason.
I feel so bad for Pangolian because all I heard was, "Oh, for fuck's sake."
Alright,
It's
so
real
if I
because
gift a
just
sub
kept
to
hearing,
Dark
like,
Knight
"Fuck
Shiro,
you, I got you, man.
will
You're
it
not
do
getting
like the whole screen doing flashes and
I
such? Is
feel
the
so
question.
bad.
Thank you, Grant, for the tier 1 gift sub to Dark King Shire.
Yeah, it does the thingamadiggy in the it doesn't do it for the entire screen. It does it for the it just bumps around in the what's-a-mahoozy in the
The afterlife.
yes, the afterlife. It does a thingamadiggy in the chat
Where's the
bar.
water?
What if Sashara's just there? Wait, can Sashara see me?
Pump of water.
Like,
Well, I'm a ghost.
yeah, I'm a
And you're a ghost, so.
yeah, and I'm wondering
I
if
died
like
whilst I had someone.
wonder if Sashara can like see me. So all right, so Vigilante is Tatsu.
Right.
Donk. Oh, there-
Trim the hedges.
So yeah, because my tasks are all fake.
If you're taking me down with me, motherfucker.
I gave up on the Tatsu. So
You
stabbed me in
sound
the
like a
neck.
dying. You actually sound like a dying goose.
Mm,
No joke. It's like.
that's why Sashara
don't
plays
mean to
this.
be-
Oh, yeah.
Like-
That's why I love it.
Alrighty then. Rippa, do you want to join in?
Oh, shit.
Do you want to join in the madness that is this game?
Yes.
We should have
Well,
just voted her out, Tatsu.
Let me
We
see.
should've, we should've. But we have to make it entertaining for the people.
For the
Okay.
For the people.
While we're waiting
For
for
the
Ripper, give
people.
me 2 seconds. I'm just going to use the bathroom.
Alrighty then.
Oh, good.
Oh Christ! I haven't got enough.
See, that's kind of the
coordinates.
insanity that descends in this game, Grant.
Yep.
It shows how much you
Because
guys
some-
play this game.
Mm.
I actually haven't
Not
played
very
this for
often,
like
actually.
a year and a half.
Mm.
Oh.
And then wait, do I?
Hey, welcome in, Ripper.
Hello, Rippa.
When the last time I played the desert was a new area.
So what? What? On
No,
the
we
what?
played recently enough, Tatsu. We played recently enough.
All right, so
No, I didn't join you guys last time.
all right, so let's do Ancient Sands then.
Yeah.
If you want to, but
Pause.
you'll have to put in a new code. We'll have to join.
Alrighty then. So change,
True.
and then I'll copy the code. And we'll see how this goes. Copy, and then ding dong chat pin manually
One thing with
unpin.
This game compared to one weird thing about this game compared to Among Us is there's actually map-based classes too.
Okay.
It's a little chilly, so I put on my scarf.
In the desert.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a little chilly.
It gets cold in the
You
desert.
can't remember your name, because there ain't no one to give you any pain.
Mm.
You see,
Hey,
because I've
doesn't
been to the desert.
Okay, so all of you
I've
guys
been
were able to get in with no problems. What's with this?
it's
The
just-
Well,
Probably
but
like
Sash
it.
is AFK,
Sash-
so she'll have to.
Sash was in the loo.
ah. Hi there, Luna. Welcome to the stream. You want to play?
I'm just literally
It's like Among Us
unfarting.
on crack with geese.
It's like Among Us with preteens that find farts hilarious.
There's a sheriff.
There we go.
Alright, so let's go. Hey, what's up?
It's pretty fantastic
Mr.
that you're here.
Squad, give me your stripes.
Oh, no. You did not give Dazzy his money.
What do you mean?
His money. Oh
Are
no!
you my mommy?
You did not give Dazzy his money.
Are you my Bobby? Only a few people will get this reference.
I'm sorry, it's
but
a little bit of a
Sash.
vague joke.
I don't get the Doctor Who,
All
sorry.
I'm gonna say, Sash, is I
You
did
don't get
not
the Doctor Who?
recommend this map.
No.
Look, I will tell you when Dazzy's the killer is all I'm gonna say.
Noted.
But how do we know you're
Is Dazzy the killer?
trying to push it on the Dazzy?
Of course I'm not the killer,
No,
whatever that like.
no, Sash
What?
is the
A
killer.
balloon,
What
that
is
means
that
you're a
one?
killer clown.
This party is totally me. I'm not actually, by the
I
way.
believe you. I believe it.
And the vulture, damn.
Is Sash the
And the
killer?
sheriff.
No.
Probably. God, I'm sure.
No, I'm not.
Oh, that look.
I'm not. I didn't.
Is that Dazzy?
I did not
did not.
do it.
Is that
I'll tell you
Dazzy?
what, Grip, one of these is me. One of these is me.
Alrighty then. Let's have a try. I'm gonna be real with you. I do like the alternative WinCon style. Like, rather than it just being like two suspect people, it's like, oh no, here's like some alternative win tasks. Wait, why can't I go down this way? Hmm.
Light the candles. Light the candles.
You're not the killer, are you? You're not the killer, are you?
The water.
Where? Wait. Oh, the water wasn't there. All right. Hang on. I can't see a thing. You're not the killer, are you?
Wait, do we know what?
Oh, Jesus. How did you get there? There we go.
Hello, Grant.
Hello. Dazzy.
Hello, Dazzy.
It's being cool in here? Yeah, what's up?
Yep. Are you the killer? Oh, what the fuck? Who's
No.
It's a Bobby.
Keep away from it, keep away from it, keep away from it. Oh god, oh god, oh god, I'm scared.
Does it, like, kill someone?
Yes, it does. If it touches you.
Yay!
Ah.
I don't know.
Oh,
my
God.
dead body.
Like,
I should have
Dead
stabbed you, Grant.
I kept asking, "Are you the killer?"
I could have killed you. I could have killed you because I was the sheriff, but I mean, a sheriff's meant. To
Wait,
be like,
how
you know-
many people did who did the mummy kill?
Like, I
Oh, I was dead.
I just ate 2 corpses. Like, I don't know if you were responsible
I
for the
only
one
killed
that
one
was in the last
person.
place I was in.
So that means the mummy would have
corpses.
killed one other, probably Ripper.
So it was.
That's the case.
So yeah, there was the Canadian and the mortician. Ishin. So Ripper, I think I might have eaten first, and then Tatsu I ate second.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't
Did
get
you
a
die to the mummy,
body,
Tatsu?
sadly. No, I
stabbed
was-
Tatsu. Ripper died to the
was-
mummy.
Yep.
You didn't stab me. You put scarabs in my body and they bursted out of my head.
Yep.
No,
So-
hang on.
Not much better.
But yeah, no. This is honestly a lot more fun than Among Us because of the mixture of roles.
I'm the duck.
Well, that's what
Oh,
I
it's
like.
way better. And the game
I'm
is
the
absolutely
captain.
fucking free, and they update it like every fucking 2 months.
Yeah.
Apparently
it's-
my microphone stopped working after we went into the game, so that's great. Yeah, the mummy killed me. Absolutely annihilated me.
Oh,
Oh.
Yeah.
Absolutely eviscerated.
darn.
I was
So
waiting
it's
so
like
long.
Indiana
I was
Jones
waiting
but
so
with
long.
ducks or geese. I don't know which one's which at this point.
Yeah.
Geese, goose.
We are ducks. Geese is bad guy.
But yeah,
Oh,
the
okay.
mummy chased me for like a good 30 seconds, and I ended up finding every dead end 4 times in a row. It was really tragic.
It was like
Aw.
I
Yeah.
was Murphy's Law, man.
Would you like to join us, Husky? There's room for more. We can have up to 16 people in these things.
Oh yes. And
Yeah.
once we hit 8 people, we get 2 killing rolls.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Because I came in and I realized my microphone was a bit loud, so I turned it down, which apparently just broke it.
Oh no.
It's like, oh boy.
Thanks, but no
Alright, let's
thanks.
do it
Husky. All right, let's do it again. So yeah, because I'm gonna be real, Dazzy. I was really hoping you were the killer, and you would just let me fly in behind you so I can get some fresh corpses.
I understand.
So here's the fun part. The mummy's indiscriminate.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it'll also
Oh.
kill the killer too.
It'll kill killers.
Yeah.
That's actually hilarious.
I am still yet to actually see the Bobby.
I have not seen it yet. I've
You're
just.
awesome.
I saw it up close.
As long as we done the box of the commandments, like in Indiana Jones, where everybody's faces melt off.
BF is
Oh,
playing D&D.
yeah, no, I
if
think
I
we're good.
told you I just got a fancy hat, I just got a fancy hat.
Nice.
Nice. Nice.
Fair.
All right, I need to find the celebrity. Sup?
Right. Not much, you.
Yeah, I'm just Is there a rule where you shouldn't tell your roles to other people if you think it would be beneficial?
Yes. Because if the killer role is I think it's the assassin.
I didn't fucking realize.
Just slam the emergency meeting.
Hang on.
Yeah, so that's the bell. That's the bell.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Which is
Oh,
awesome meeting.
okay, I was just meant to say that happened instantly.
I didn't know you on the
Okay, for Engrel.
on the buzz.
Hey, Angro, what's up, buddy?
What's up? Alrighty, well, when it gets
That's alright. It
to
happens.
when it gets to voting
you-
time, then we'll just skip, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Sort of like last time, right?
Let's just
Yes, exactly
yeah,
like
yeah,
last
yeah.
time.
list when it comes to the voting.
I swear to God, if I get misclicked on by 5 different
I'll
people,
give you all a stress.
You were misclicked by 2. Okay, you were misclicked by 2 different people.
No, that's included.
No, last time I did on purpose. Last time.
Talk about growing up.
All right, I'm gonna chalk that up to Dazzy and Tatsu could not agree, and they just were like. Alrighty, I need to find coin. There we go. Oh, you motherfucker. I need to juke him! I couldn't juke him. I tried juking him, okay? Alright, so Pangolin is the vulture. Tatsu is the adventure. Ba-dum-bum, ba-dum-bum. Oh wait, does that mean there's 2 people dead now? That's a problem. And then Dazzy's just got invisibility.
Tatsu. 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 Shit, where did you go? Tatsu. Dude! Are you where? Tatsu.
I'm just...
Tatsu. 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 Tatsu.
Tatsu.
Tatsu Miku. Where the fuck did he go? Tatsu. Tatsu. Where's Tatsu? He disappeared very quickly. I'm concerned. Where's Tatsu? Tatsu. Fuck. Just don't be in the pyramid.
Oh, celebrity's dead. Here we go. No,
you fucker! No, you fucker!
Oh my god, it's so much fun just ghosting Sashera right now. Like, oh. Oh. Let's have a listen.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Just...
Well, this is awkward.
So who was? I know Ripper was behind me, and I know the mummy was chasing me and Ripper. I ran south, going down.
Are you sure?
Yes.
She's boned.
Because me and Sash and Ripper all side by side, and then somebody summoned the mummy. I know Sash went south, and Ripper followed behind me.
Where did you end up, Desi?
Yeah.
Right now, I am at the supply. No, I'm not actually. I'm going towards the gardens again. I was in the supply hut. I ran way the fuck south because as soon as the mummy got spawned, the sandstorm kicked in.
Yeah, I despawned it in the embalming house. Like, that's where it was in the last couple seconds.
I literally just walked in and saw Sashira with, not with the corpse, just, standing by the corpse. So
I wonder if Panda knows what they're doing.
Well, that's because I knew to report it, because the mummy was a kill. Like, the mummy had killed it.
Did Pangolin walk in on you, Sash, or were they there the entire time?
No, Pangolin walked over from the pyramid.
Yeah, I was trying to do my tasks. Well, this is a pickle I found.
Sorry.
Yep. Oh.
Oh, Dazzy, you fuck. I hate you. Dazzy, what the fuck?
Just this is a pickle.
Okay, so invisibility means that they're still a killer?
Yes.
Yeah,
invisibility is a killing role, and they just go invisible and kill people.
You mentioned you, and everybody looks at you with fear.
Like, Dazzy was right on top of you, Sashera. I was ghosting you, because I was just watching and I was just like, oh, you're just an app. Like, it was just hilarious just watching.
Oh, of course he knew not to mention the fucking embalming house because he knew exactly where I was. You fuck. You're dead next round.
I like that. I like that a lot, but I would kill you if I have to.
This round.
Yeah.
If it's up to me, I would kill you right now, but I can't.
No. Were you...
I
call so much hate.
Panda, were you hoping that if Sasha wasn't there, that would have been your second corpse and therefore your victory?
Yeah, because I would have been able to eat it.
Yep.
Ah.
So
impatiently.
I thought you were doing the Giga brain of oh, you'd only mention near the end that Sashera was standing over the corpse just to make Dazzy be able to be nah, it's
not standing over. She was right next to the corpse, a little bit away from it. So and me being the Hufflepuffy end that I am, I didn't want to jump to conclusions.
I am a Hufflepuffy and safe.
The Hufflepuff in you.
The Hufflepuffy. Yeah. You know, I wanted to give him a chance.
Alrighty then.
Yeah.
But
You know,
yeah.
like the ABBA song.
I love this
Chance
game.
on me.
I'm enjoying it
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah.
I'll be real with you. I probably will do this next month as well, just because it was such a jank setup this week, and I'm like, we're gonna do it again next week with like if we can with more numbers.
Very fun.
Yeah.
If
you wanna
we
give it
can
like
get
a-
more people, it makes it insanity, and it's really funny.
Oh, it's 16 people.
Wasn't it
this game is
16 people?
fucking
Yeah.
speed
Yep.
different.
Yep.
Can't say that.
You can't do that. It's illegal. It's illegal.
It's illegal.
It's illegal to. Well, it is
Oh,
actually
Dazzy.
for.
I finally
what's up?
watched the Third Guardians of the Galaxy. It was dope.
Yeah, I saw it too.
Alrighty. Ohio. Nope, wrong. God damn you. There we go. Ohio gozaimasu. Wait, what? Oh, smash the pots.
Grant,
Yep, what's up?
you seen Dazzy?
No, but I can keep an eye on you. Oh, thingy-majiggy.
Cool.
Alright, now hang on. Alright. Oh, there's Dazzy. There he is. I feel so betrayed right now. Oh. Wait, what? What's a falcon?
Dazzy, what the fuck did you do? You ran south. This was south.
Okay, wait. So no, shut the fuck up.
No.
GrantZeebs
Did you
was
kill
hanging-
Pangolian while you were running from me? Because you're
no,
a chicken?
I wasn't. Wait, if I killed Pangolin, who killed Grant? I didn't kill Pangolin. I was running from you. You were hanging out with Grant. Grant said, look, Sash, Danny's
Grant was
Dazzy's
behind me. I left him alive. What the fuck, Dazzy?
If he was, wait, hold on. You said you were gonna kill me. If he was behind you, I'd be dead already.
What?
I'd be dead. You said you were gonna kill
What do
me.
you mean
this
you'd be
round.
dead?
If GrantZeebs was behind you, that you would have shot my ass already.
I tried.
All right.
I tried. You were out of range.
Then I couldn't have killed Grant. Unless you killed
No, but
Grant
someone
by mistake
else
by
must have
firing.
done it.
Yeah,
But you killed Pangolian
I did it.
because you ran south, and then I
I was
followed
being
behind
chased
you, and
by
oh
you.
look, there's a body.
No. Vote Sash.
Either way,
Sash
we're
is the
fucked.
Falcon. I guarantee it. I guarantee you.
Oh my god.
No.
I guarantee you.
No. No.
guarantee
It's you. You're the killer.
Sash is the Falcon. She killed Grant.
No.
That's why she's giggling. She knows it's true.
No.
Yes. Yes, you
No.
are. I ran from you. You killed Grant.
No. Fuck you.
We know you're the Falcon.
No.
They're burning
No,
bright
it's
tonight.
you, Sash. There's no. We know it's you.
Where's... Alright, so there he is right there.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Tots go
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this, not like this.
Yeah.
Not like
Yeah.
this.
I just want to... Wait, where's...
Fuck!
I told you it was Dazzy! I told you!
I know! No! It was you,
told you it was Dazzy!
You killed me,
you,
though!
stupid.
Dazzy was right, you killed me!
Yeah, that was
Tots
accidental, I'm
was
sorry,
the
Grant.
best plan.
I was legitimately running after Dazzy and spamming the kill button to kill Dazzy, and for some reason it targeted you. I don't know why.
Because I was right beside you.
Crossfire.
I was right beside you. I was like, oh, we'll stick together.
But it doesn't change the fact that I was right and Dazzy was the killer.
I have wait. But I didn't kill Pangolin. I didn't kill Pangolin. My shroom Locust did.
That still makes you.
Yeah, but look, I thought I was impervious to the environment though, because I was an adventurer.
Dazzy is.
Environment does not count.
That's a bit ripped though. Like, technically, it's kind of environment, so you really should be immune to that. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Locust Swarm's the only one that doesn't work.
Yeah, Locust.
I know, but like, you think about it, like.
You're not wrong.
Sure.
Rip is this fucking puppet there.
If Tatsu was
Look, why don't you mind your own business?
I was gonna kill Sash first and then kill you afterward.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
I should have let you.
Just kill me first. We all know I'm the first girl or final girl.
I thought you said thirsty girl.
Well, I mean,
listen, if anyone's thirsty here, it's me, okay?
For who though? Who you thirsty for? Who do you thirst for?
I'm first for everyone.
No. Oh god, I better move away.
Alright. Sorry, I'm just waiting on, because it looks like Unity is woken up again.
Unity!
Yes!
She'll be on in 10 minutes. She's just grabbing a drink and getting logged on. Alright, so we got time for another round.
Well,
yeah, she did.
Surely I won't get killer for a
if
fifth
it ends
time.
as quickly as
because she's like,
she's awake.
Because Unity was like, yeah, Dazzy asked me when I woke up, and then fell asleep while putting on clothes.
Oh.
I would have started playing in pajamas though, so.
Well, like
you see, I knew that Unity was awake because she left the sleep VC that we're in.
No.
Alright.
Okay.
Random party sheriff.
Do I be
I'm still learning so much about this game. Like, apparently if you pick random, it's not random out of the 3, it's random out of everything.
Oh, is it random out of everything?
Yes.
It literally puts you in the complete random pool, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Because I got an option.
Well. Nice. Dun dun.
Oh, we're just little guys cleaning shrines?
Wait, why can't I clean? Hang on.
Just be careful of
There
any
we go.
mummy spawns in here.
Yep, alright, let me just be quick. And then...
The water, we gotta fetch it.
I don't really like to run.
Oh, boy.
Oh, that was quick.
Oh.
Nice kill,
That's why.
Tatsu! Nice!
There was no reason. That was a random kill. Look, I know I've been killer for 6 times in a row, but there was no reason for that at all.
What are you, American?
Alright, fine.
I'm not American,
You know what?
I'm Australian.
You know what? I'm going murder hobo now. I don't care. There's no rules. I'm doing mummy every 5 seconds. Everyone's
Oh, I didn't realize you were playing with a fucking morality system.
Yes, I was holding back. I really was. I really was.
Oh my god.
Trying to go for a Paragon
random
playthrough,
killing,
that's
it's
all over
on.
now.
Yep.
It's all
I was
over,
trying to leave
folks.
Grant for last every time because he's the streamer.
Oh, thank you. I'm like,
Is that just-
someone decides I should be killed last, right, Sashera? Right?
What?
that like-
Hang on a minute. Now, hang on a minute. I was a class that needed to kill things in a specific order. That's why I apologized.
Yeah, but you were. But in your murder rage for Dazzy, you killed me.
No, you were
not my
a
fault.
falcon.
At least she did.
Sash.
That was not my fault.
But she did actually.
Sash, you were a falcon. That means you just have to live. That's it.
The Falcon game. I'm not talking about the Falcon game. I'm talking about the one where I was the serial killer.
Sorry if you can hear any typing.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's fine.
Not to worry, not to worry.
Where would you run?
7:57. Oh yeah, 10 minutes. So yeah, we still got
Surely I
another.
won't get killer for a 7th time in a row.
It would be nice to be
I
killer
got
at
that
least
would be,
once.
for 10 minutes.
That would be cinematic, wouldn't it?
I really didn't get killer this time. There's no fucking way I get killer this time.
All right.
What if it's like, you know, like in The Lion King, where like, what's his name? Not Mufasa. Like it involves Mufasa, but it's Scar, and he's like, "Long live the king." It's just like, "Long live the Zeeb."
Well, I am the king of cooks.
You are the king.
Wait, are we doing?
Is
You know,
that
are we
true?
doing all random?
Grant's
Nobody knows
the
what role
king
is. Oh,
of
never
the
mind.
pronoun.
I was gonna say, so like, you were accusing Sasha of being the Falcon, but didn't we all see that they picked Falcon? Like a couple of games ago? Like, what is the public knowledge to see people pick?
You can see.
Oh,
Yes and no.
that's a good point.
Like you can see what's there, but you can't see who's what.
Okay. Hmm. Coconuts. Excuse me.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Just beating.
Oh
mice.
shit! No, we gotta report that. Why did I say that?
In my face.
What are you doing? Wait, Rip? Oh, okay. I thought it was Ripper. Because, like, I was with him in, like, one place. Fuck, map. Hang on. I know these names. Pyramid. I was with him in Pyramid for a time, and I thought I saw a body, and I went, shit. And, like, I went away. Hey, and I didn't, like, I know I shouldn't have reported it, but I don't want to say why, like, ask-wise, but I thought it was Ripper that did that kill then. But he's dead now.
Wait, so which kill happened?
Brown, I want to say? No.
I'm so confused as to what's happening right now. I'm sorry, what did I miss?
My day be so fine.
Brain.
Then boom.
Process.
Morning.
What? Wait, what?
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 Grant.
Wow.
Grant actually sounded
I voted for
like
Grant!
Wow.
Grant actually sounded like a panicked, like, murderer. Talking
They
to
really
see,
did.
like he was breathing quickly and stuff and panting.
You see,
Well,
you see,
what?
you
You
were
see,
perfectly
officer, actually.
Knife and a gun. He ran to.
I voted for Grant!
I might have killed him. No, I didn't know.
I voted for Grant! Bengali, did you self-vote?
I think Pangoli chose not to vote.
But I voted for Grant!
Mm.
Also,
One
how
sec,
does it
mic
take the
isn't
fluff was
working.
green? I feel like was it there for I felt like I was fluffing grade for an eternity, and then I watched myself die while still fluffing grade because apparently it takes that long.
Oh god.
I watched my own ghost just fly off while I was still stuck fluffing grade.
I should have come up with a better alibi because I made the mistake of when I killed
You should have come
Dazzy,
up with any.
and then I was with Ripper and I was like, oh, we gotta report this, and then I was like, wait, I can't report on bodies.
You sounded so. Yes, you can. You sounded so panicked.
I should have come up with a better alibi. You should have come up with any alibi at all.
You just said gibberish. You're like, well, I saw him
Just
here.
like,
I looked at the body. I
Ripper
don't know
did
why.
it, and then just started just babbling. I don't know who was killed, but I know it wasn't me.
Because I was gonna.
It was the worst excuse.
But I won.
Yes.
Just holding the knife.
My victory. I won.
It wasn't me, guys, holding the bloody knife.
Guys, I promise it wasn't me.
I still don't know
Alright,
how that happened. So obvious.
I'm so confused.
Because I went for, like, not my target twice then as well. I should have just... Oh my gosh.
It is fun when you get to play killer because you just kind of.
I was like holding a gun in hand in front of these. It was actually that guy over there that shot this man here. Yes, you are absolutely right, Husky. Now I have to be the police. Alrighty. Hello? Oh, I see what I have to slice. It's this thing. Alright, cool.
Hi, Grant.
Hi.
Are you chill?
Yeah, I'm being chill. What about you? You being chill?
What are you doing down there?
I'm just standing at the bell. What are you doing? Actually, I can't keep standing at the bell.
Grant,
Yeah?
why are you standing at the bell? Oh god.
You just hanging out by the bell?
Yeah, I was just hanging out by the bell.
Just hanging out by the bell. Oh!
Where's the...
Oh, this is not good. It should be in the temple. Hopefully it stays in there for the duration because the doors are locked. Oh god.
Oh no.
What is a pigeon victory?
Hi!
What is a pigeon victory?
I sneezed on all the people that were still alive.
Oh!
Obviously, the people that I hadn't sneezed on had all died.
Oh! So you don't even see when people get sneezed.
Nope.
No.
So, I summoned the mummy, and I didn't know that mummies can now break down doors.
That's... Okay.
When you lock down the doors, the mummy don't give a fuck.
Bobby says jiggle jiggle.
And as a morphling, I couldn't go through the smoke wall because I was a morphling.
Yep.
So.
Oh no, that's fucking amazing.
That is
The
honestly hilarious.
mummy can break down walls now.
So what I'm hearing here, Dazzy, is you fucked yourself over.
Yeah, I did.
Sounds
I made
like
some
it.
calculations, but boy, am I bad at math.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of which, I like to think I'm usually pretty good at video games, but for some reason something about this game really took away my brain cells. Did you know there's a mini-map up the top right? That round was a lot easier for me.
Yeah, and then I found out that you can click on your task list and it puts a little yellow arrow on you and points you at the task in the direction, so you don't even need the minimap.
Oh, I figured that one out, which was good.
Oh, well, these are very nice, useful things. I will remember this for next time. Are we gonna go full random? Okay.
We can.
Okay.
Alright, we'll go full random then. So that's the button on the far right. Random. Sup? There we go, and then... I am such a fucking artist.
So, apparently there's just a corpse in the street, and I don't really know how to process that.
Did you come in from the artisan's house or the embalming house?
Was coming from the pyramid entrance, up past the embalming house, and in between the embalming house and the temple grounds. It was just a corpse in the street.
Okay.
So.
Why is it not Dazzy?
Legit, Grant. But hold on, no, wait. I'm a stalker. I can confirm that Grant was not the killer because Grant was in the artisan's house doing the pottery, I'm pretty sure, because I can see where you are on the map.
Yeah.
So that means it was Ripper was on the staircase, so it's either Ripper's the killer or Tatsu.
You wouldn't kill Dwayne The Rock Johnson, would you?
I hope it's not me.
Why would you hope it's not you? You would know if it was or wasn't.
Well, you know, like emotionally, you know.
We hold on. Who are we voting on? Because we can vote on one, either Tatsu or Ripper.
Well, I'm not voting for either of you when I clicked that skip, but then I was kind of tempted for.
I voted for Ripper because you would have killed Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
All right, I'm gonna vote on Ripper. Grant, me and you, buddy, we're voting out Tatsu next round.
All right.
It's an easy win.
Is it an easy win?
It's not a win because it wasn't a majority rules.
No, this is fucked.
Yeah. Damn, Chad, the mortician is boring.
I'm sorry, Ripper. It's Ripper. I stalked Ripper. He went completely through the smoke wall that only killers can go through.
What?
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
We're just
the smoke walls.
We're 100% relying on Dazzy for this information.
Well,
wait, do you mean the smoke walls that go between? Do you mean like the smoke walls that go between locations?
You mean the one that's like between the goose egg, the library, and the bazaar, or?
Yep.
No, I went into the bazaar and then came out and I'm like hanging out by the bloody temple grounds.
I want you to know I have a stalker. I can see the way you're moving.
I have celebrity, which is why I kept making
references to all I know is that Grant is in fact not the killer. That's all I know for a fact. But I'm pretty sure Ripper. I'm sorry, Ripper. Am I right?
Let's see. Yeah. Okay.
I think I'm right.
I was Dwayne The Rock Johnson this whole time.
Who's Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
I'm a celebrity.
Oh,
Tatsu's doing a funny bit. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
When I get celebrity, I tend to try and impersonate a character.
I mean, understandable.
Bro, I'm sorry. I'm semi-decent at this game, bro. My apologies.
No, fair enough. Because you were like, it's like Grant couldn't have been the killer. He was in the artisan house. I was stalking him, and I was just sort of like, you're not wrong, but why do you know this?
Because I was my role. I was stalker. What stalker does on the 1 second cooldown, they can mark somebody and see. You know how you have like a red mark where the fire.
I thought it was just an arrow. I didn't realize like
there's a blue mark for who I'm stalking, and it shows you where they're moving and how they're moving.
Yep. Okay.
See, I was just kind of confused because I know about there's the passageways, but I didn't notice anything showing them. Like I could see where they begin and end, and I didn't think I used any. There was no feedback at all that I was using a path that I'm the only one that can use.
Right.
Yeah, I've fallen for
Well,
that
as
before,
a non-killer, yeah, as a non-killer, you just physically can't enter that area.
Yeah, hang on a second.
Well, yeah, but like, aren't they they're full of dust, which means that they're very visually distinct, right?
Unity.
Oh.
Hi.
Good morning, Unity.
Hello.
Unity. There you go. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Unity, you've played this before,
Can you
right?
hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay.
Sorry. It was just like I'm saying hi, and then Tatsu is just like laying kisses down on you, and I was just sort of like, I don't know. This is behavior I can replicate as well.
Oh, that's totally fine. I don't mind. I just installed this game a few minutes ago. I've never touched it. How do I do anything?
Okay, so you got WAS for movements, you got E to interact, you got F to fart, and M and P mute. But if you're a killer, then control and left shift do things as well. Which vary based on your.
Question. Y'all have like character customizations with the exception of Grant. Is there like an option to do that?
If you come down here,
Yeah. You have to unlock them via just earning money in game. Like every win, you get like 14 coins or something like that. There's blue coins, the vending machines for like gotchas.
I have some of the white coins and use some. I got them
You need
from
50
logging in.
I think it's 50
I have
of them for the
150. I have 150.
You have 150?
Makes you feel better. Also, Grant and Ripper's first games are they too.
Yep. What's with the
I can
the white coins on the left?
So the way it works is that you have the left, the right. So anyway, the way it works is there's like 5 kinds of coins. There's the premium gold coins. There's the silver coins, which you earn from just playing, and then you earn white, green, blue, purple, and gold star coins from just random chance of doing an objective, like on the map.
Yep.
And with like an amount of those, you can go to a vending machine on the lounge map and just play a gotcha machine.
Oh, okay. So
you click the machine, you get a random outfit piece.
All right, but that's if we go to the lounge.
God damn it! The witch hat costs money. This game sucks.
You can earn it in game. No, you can get it for free if you get the
gold one. It costs the gold ones though.
Get from the gotcha.
Apothecary measures. How do you do that one?
How you do what?
Like there was an achievement for apothecary measures. If it was.
I want the little tiara, Unity. I want the little tiara.
Achievements. So if I.
What's it to do?
And the black clothes cost. This game's frustrating.
I'm already done with this game.
It's completely free. It's completely free. Not only that,
It just costs more than every other colored clothing that they have available.
As we know, black dye is very expensive, obviously.
Have you played Final Fantasy XIV?
Yes.
I actually got 2 of those the other day from floor 150, and it sold for like 2 million.
Wait, people just gift you shit in Final Fantasy?
Yeah.
No, I did Palace of the Dead.
Ah,
no,
okay.
It doesn't give me anything about Fantasy.
Okay, because I've had some people try and throw me gold.
I've definitely seen people. I've seen people give things to Dazzy in Final Fantasy.
Yeah, Dazzy, when are you paying me for a sketch, by the way?
Do you really want me to give you 2 million gil right now for a sketch?
Yes! I wasn't kidding, bro.
Oh, Unity. Somebody bought Chaos Final Fantasy 14.
Oh, nice. I don't know what any of this means.
She
Neither do
needs
I.
to call me so I can try and help
click
her.
on the I button. Click on the I button. Tells you what all the roles do if you scroll over to them.
I just picked one.
Unity,
Sorry,
did you
too
see
late.
what they're doing for
Oh look,
the-
just pick one and have fun with it for now. You'll figure it out as you go along.
Unity,
I didn't
did you see
expect
what
this
they
game
did?
to have voice chat.
It kind of needs it. Wah.
Hello?
Yep,
It is great.
it is me. Alliance? Alliance?
Does the voice chat work?
Yeah, the voice chat works. It's proximity based. It's just
And
proximity
it's a special.
based.
It's a special common writer too because it's a. It's actually a
Okay.
unique common writer.
I was thinking of resubbing to
It's Tatsu. Like, I went down through the pyramids. Unity was dead. I turn around. Ripper is dead. Tatsu is standing right on top of Ripper.
So I am Sheriff, watched Ripper kill Unity, so they killed Ripper when they went to walk past me.
Alright, real quick. Katsu, who is the celebrity?
Celebrity? I have no clue.
I reckon it's Unity because when Unity was doing their commentary about the Watsumukuzi thingamabobbies, they excuse me. So yeah, because when Unity was commenting about the roles, she said, "Oh, I've picked one already," and that was when celebrity was picked. So, little gaming moment there.
Here's the thing, though. I legit don't think Tatsu would kill you. Like, regardless of their role.
I don't want to kill Unity.
What do you think, Sash? What's happening here?
I am inclined to
you.
agree that Tatsu would not want to kill Unity. Did we have a sheriff to play?
Because they killed Unity. Ripper
let's see.
killed Unity, ran past me,
did.
and as soon as they got on top of me, I'm like, yeah, no, you dead.
I reckon it was a sheriff kill.
I'm gonna skip.
I do agree, though. I think Unity was a celebrity.
Yeah.
She was. Tatsu.
I didn't have to do anything.
Didn't have to do anything.
I'm just wandering around. I didn't find anyone. I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
Wait, so
who the fuck killed Unity? Are you?
Wait,
Ripper did. Ripper did. You had it right. Yeah, you had it perfect, Tatsu. That's exactly what happened. Ripper killed me, and then you killed Ripper. I was the celebrity.
You're gonna love this. So, I was the Falcon, but as it turns out, I'm playing with a DualSense right now. Turns out that mute microphone and kill people are the same button.
I love it.
That's amazing.
So I went to unmute to be like, "Hi Unity," and then I immediately just tore them to shreds, and then I just kind of kept walking because I didn't know how to process it.
So what does that mean? What is the Falcon?
So the Falcon is one of our neutral roles.
But they have to survive last.
So the very bare basics is there are
I'm gonna fix
the
that.
good guys.
Just give me one sec. Actually, I'm gonna fix it.
The geese, the good guys. There are the ducks, which are the killers, and they generally have a red background. And then there are neutral roles, which are basically trying to win the game on their own terms. The Falcons' terms are that they want to be the last person standing, but they also have the ability to.
Oh, so they're Falco from the Star Fox.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh.
They're Sashira. They're your mortal enemy.
True. I have a question.
Because you're a Star Fox.
Tatsu. We were all thinking the Ripper was, in fact, a sheriff, right? And that's why we didn't vote. Why do you say you were sheriff?
I am sheriff. I was sheriff.
They did. They told the truth.
They did. I'm pretty sure
I
they
think
did.
we were too busy not listening, Desi.
That's what I said. I said
because it said I'm the sheriff. That's why I killed Ripper.
When Grant blamed it on me, I was like, no. I watched Ripper kill Unity when Ripper walked past me because I was sheriff. I shot them.
Oh yeah, because killers don't get.
Tatsu was completely honest and like said everything right, and then you were like, "I'm not voting."
Sash was just sitting there, completely silent as the cannibal, just being like, "If I say anything, it'll just ruin it."
I forgot there's a timer on how often you could kill, so it would have been impossible for Tatsu to kill Unity and then in like less than 10 seconds kill Ripper. So.
Yeah. See, what I thought happened was Tatsu killed Unity, and then Grant killed Ripper, and they're both looking at each other with cooldowns and kills, like, I
was literally just looking at Grant going.
That does sound like some dumb, goofy shit they would do, but no.
I was looking at Grant specifically because Grant was also over there with Unity. I was like, did I kill the... Do I have to turn around and kill Grant now because the round didn't end?
Yeah, and I was just like sort of standing there.
I killed a murderer. No witnesses.
And I was just sort of like waiting. I was just like, is he coming after me? It's like, why can't I like report this? And then I realized I wasn't standing close enough, so they moved a little bit closer and then reported it.
So it's extra funny now that I have the context of you accidentally doing it, because I was like, why the fuck would you kill me within 5 feet of Tatsu, the most dedicated and unfaltering being in the universe?
I know. Like, so pro tip, if you try to bind a button to square, and there's already something on square, it doesn't warn you or stop you at all. It just lets you bind every button in the game to the same button.
Oh no.
That does sound like a fun game mode. Like, just hit square and see what happens.
Just bind everything to like right trigger and just go.
Liam Neeson. I will fight you. We'll kill you.
Speaking of game modes, there's like 12 in this game. You have normal, draft, you have battle royale, you have tag, you have vampires and werewolves.
I was just so shocked. I just was speechless. I was literally had to say hi Unity, and I was just staring at their corpse. So I just kept walking straight into Tatsu.
Oh, shit, Dodo. That's fun.
Oh, there's an well, I was dumb. I started a game just as an advertisement hit.
Oof. Oh no.
Well, that's okay. Thankfully, I don't have to do squats in this advertisement, so not too many people hitting redeems on that.
It's okay,
so you can tell what people's things are. You just can't tell who's who.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that system. This game really is just Among Us.
It's better than Among Us. Not too late, Angrel. There's already an advertisement going off. Next advertisement. Yo, what's up?
Not much, you.
Wait, you're the... No, is there a diseased person in this? No, there isn't. Oh, wait, can I see previous roles? Okay, so there's a dodo bird, which is... They need to get voted out. Kill 1 per game. Celebrity. And then serial killer is they need to, like, obviously kill a lot of peeps. And then we got 1 random. Yay, found a coin. Oh.
This person I saw Dazzy with was Tatsu, but that was at the very beginning of the round. I just got coconuts. I was enjoying. I was getting ready to make a pina colada, and then I was like, "Oh wait, I gotta go sweep the carpet."
I was about to
So what
sweep
happened,
the carpet
Sash?
that's behind you.
I was walking through the pyramid, and then body.
Body? Just a body?
Body.
Okay. I'm not gonna lie, Sashira, you're talking really slow.
That's all I need to go on.
It's fine. Just body, you know?
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
Sashira just won because she's Dodo.
Thanks, Tatsu.
That makes sense.
That
makes sense.
I was the killer, so...
That makes, yeah, I feel like a...
I just voted to go with it.
Wow.
Like, fuck it.
This only worked. This only worked because we have like 3 new players in this. That's all.
And all of us are just looking at Sarah like, that's sus.
I could tell.
So,
They were both
wait. So your goal was to, so you're like the jester?
Yeah.
Dodo's
My
jester.
goal was to get voted out.
So wait, you didn't.
Oh fuck! I didn't know that was a rule.
You didn't. Here's where it gets fucky. If you have enough players, you have 3 roles and 3 killers, and you get dueling dodos, where they do one task, have to kill each other. That's real sus.
It's so fucky.
I was the vigilante and Dazzy. It took every bit of restraint in my entire body to not immediately kill you first thing, and to tell Tatsu you saw nothing.
As soon as I walked away, Tatsu just killed me and ran.
Yeah.
Really? Oh
As soon as I left you, because he doesn't want to kill you, but he wouldn't kill me in front of you. Cause
No, I killed Unity too.
Oh yeah,
no,
Unity
I didn't
won.
get killed.
No, one thing that wasn't entirely.
I killed.
Yeah, absolutely. Just demolished me. I was just trying to be a little guy lighting the candles.
Yeah,
and I got lit up instead.
There, I'm like, are they
Just a
gonna
silly guy.
split up at any time? Because I need to kill Dazzy. He's my target.
Sash
Also,
is
Unity in the thing
really
was
do
at
be
the,
cosplaying themselves.
Yeah,
What's up?
they
so
were like, I'm never gonna spend money on
Alright. Let's...
my bucks. I'll pick it.
You were saying, Ripper?
All that outfit, and then was like, yeah, no, I'm spending money on this game now.
Ripper, can you tell me what you were trying to say, hon?
So the one thing that's not obvious is with the random, is that it gives you the 3 options, but if you pick random, it can give you anything rather than just those 3. So if you pick if you don't like any of them, you can pick random.
Nice.
It's completely
And
not
the biggest
obvious,
thing-
so I was just let you know.
And the biggest thing to know about this too, if you look at the information button, it only tells you what roles have been picked. So if you pick random, you only know what's been picked. You have no idea.
What is pigeon? Why does it have a biohazard symbol?
They sneeze
Well,
on
they
you.
just sneeze on people.
And then the lobby gets extra quiet at this stage here.
Oh shit. I rang the bell because I saw someone lock the doors in the temple and was worried that someone's gonna probably
Yeah,
me, but...
yeah, someone definitely locked the doors.
I'm sorry to call you out, Unity, but Unity walked into the smoke wall.
What does that mean?
Oh.
I walked up against it. I've been trying to find my tasks, so I've been just walking the perimeter of every room. What does the
Oh,
smoke
no.
wall do?
Oh,
It's a thing that only the killer can walk through.
Oh no, I brushed up against it probably, but I didn't walk into it.
Somebody partied.
I will say I'm a bird watcher.
Your
I can
voice
see
is
through
so high
walls.
pitched right now.
Yeah, for us.
What
it's
is that?
very
I'm
high-pitched.
literally just talking. What?
You need there's a role in this game called Party that if they run into you, it changes your voice and makes it really high pitched. The bots you run into.
As if you've been taking helium.
That's cute. But I'm a bird watcher, and you should know that I've played this game little enough that I wouldn't know that if it weren't true.
I like that argument.
really
It's like, if I got it correct, there's no way I could be lying.
Why don't use
Wait,
a
who
fuck?
voted for me?
Just hearing this childish voice. What if you's a fuck? Alright.
I like how the only information that they also got about.
Oh, what? Oh, I need to be in that side. Okay. Yum.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
Ran into the fucking zombie.
Why did you go for the kill when, like, I was running from the temple? What? Oh, what could Grant be doing running from the temple when the mummy is out?
What's going on?
So, Dazzy...
My screen got covered in sand and my special eyes couldn't see anymore.
My special
Yeah, that just happens in the map.
It just happens in the map.
I just really enjoy the fact that I can see through walls.
So yeah,
I just kept walking up to walls and saying, "What do I see with my special eyes?" Turning it off.
Yeah, that's funny.
Sash, you okay? I'm sorry I killed you, man.
Sash is just extra. But yeah, so what happened is that there was a sandstorm that went off, which like lowers the visibility and all that kind of such. While that was happening, there was the alert that the mummy is out, and normally it spawns from the temple. So bad vision and being near the temple is a bad mix, because like the mummy like just needs to touch you and kill you. And the fun thing is, someone mentioned this a few rounds ago, is that the killings from the mummy are indiscriminate. So it will touch, like if a killer or a goose or any of that gets touched, it doesn't matter what their role is, they will get killed by the mummy. So while I was running away from the temple, Dazzy was towards the temple and decided to kill me.
Oh, actually, I have a question.
Answer.
Oh, sorry, keep going.
Yeah?
After this. So, about actually moving through. So, I was the pigeon that round, which I was meant to sneeze on everyone.
Yep.
There was an ability that looked like a bird cloaked in shadow. Is that how I enable or disable moving through, like the sand, like the shrouded hallways?
Maybe I think you could activate that personally, but
Because I was gonna say, if that's something that you actually have to activate, the ability to move through those shrouded hallways, then that time that I got outed for doing it, I wasn't able to do it because I was the Esper.
no, only
Or was it only the
rolls have it
Morphling?
automatically. Yeah.
Okay, then what's the second ability for the pigeon then?
It could be
Can
that,
I just
but
say
pigeons like
it's
doing well.
the fact that you have to pay money for the pride flag shirts is unfortunate.
Oh.
You can earn all that in game for free.
I know you can, but it's like you have to spend the in-game currency to get it instead of like, I don't know, like a code or something.
I like how in Nitro stream races they technically cost like money, but they cost like a gold and you earn like 300 rupees. So they just cost for no reason. It's almost like they can't have free items, so they make everything cost nothing.
Wait, which shirt? Oh, those shirts. No, don't worry about that. 2,000 like coins you get like in like 2 or 3 days. Damn.
Yeah, do you realize that I'm probably never going to play the game for that long?
Well,
right?
are you at least gonna want to play it like maybe next month, the first Saturday for the next month?
Oh no, like I'm enjoying the game. It's just Dazzy is like the only person I know who gives a shit about this game. You know?
What do you mean? I've only played it like twice a month, if that.
Exactly! That's my point, Dazzy!
It's my community wants me to play this game, because they always kill me first.
Oh, just blame the community, why don't you? Jeez.
Yeah.
They literally...
Also,
cut
it's
me down
Friday!
every
What are
time
we
first.
doing? Are we just playing this for fun? You're not streaming.
I'm streaming.
Every first Saturday.
Grant, you're streaming? I'm pulling up your stream. I'll have it turned off where I can't see it, but I want to give you a view.
First Saturday of every month for the last 3 months, I've been hosting party games.
I didn't even know that.
First Saturday of every month. I'm
sorry.
Morse told me about it, and I'm just like, really? And Morse is like, oh, absolutely, you should go play the next one. And now it's Goose Goose Duck, and it's like, okay, well, let's jump in. It does have birds, though, so it is 10 out of 10.
Yep. So yeah, because one of the ideas, because this was something started a few months ago, because I got really envious of streamers that had buddies to play with or chat engaging with them and such, and I was like, oh, I have an idea that would hopefully be of a fun engagement, and that's to do these kinds of party game streams. The first time I did this, people thought, oh, I thought you were gonna play party games, like Mario Kart, like Mario Party by myself or something like that, like some weird dude.
What? Yeah, just go play Mario Party DS in the corner with in a dark room.
Yes, that's exactly what Blue Foxy and Icy did for a long time in the past. So people thought that's what I was gonna do.
Oh, that's right, they did do that.
Hey, Grant.
Yep.
Can I help you set up Dolphin with online multiplayer so that we can do Kirby's Air Ride one of these times?
I got a Switch. But yeah, we can probably
Kirby's
How
Air
loud
Ride.
the silence was after that.
What does that have to do with anything? I have a Switch too.
We could play Switch games. I'm a Martinist capitalist. If
I'm not gonna lie, there's no version of any world in which you can pay Nintendo for Kirby's Air Ride anymore. So it's literally fine. Second off, Kirby's Air Ride is better than any party game on the Switch by far.
Radio.
Does the Switch have Sonic Shuffle?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I don't know what Sonic Shuffle is.
Sash is asking if we want to queue without her because she's in spectator mode.
Oh, you guys want to go around without me, or is this block? Oh no, we can go. We can. If you're in spectator, we can just start a game.
Yep, she is.
Yeah. So, yeah, we can do another thing.
We were too busy.
I was just having a moment where it was just sort of like after months of and this one being one of the more failure of the attempts in setting this up, it's just sort of like, oh, Grant, who's streaming today on a random Friday, in the middle of the morning or something like that, and it's just sort of like, me, GrantZeebs. Every Saturday.
Also, is it Saturday? Oh wait, time zones.
Time zones, exactly.
Yeah, I'm here the first Saturday every time too.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. It's here.
Just a couple of little time travelers. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, just some fun time traveling. So yeah, and it's funny because I just wanted to try and get more of the Australian peeps and streamers engaged and such like that. And it's like, oh, my best success with this game so far has been Dazzy, and then there was Morse, who's also in the States, Radium, who's been in this. It's oh, hi Ripper.
Oh, hello. I'd be talking to chat because you're otherwise only talking to me.
Yeah.
I'm chat. Hello.
Hello. Hi. All right.
I'm gonna go be a little guy.
All right. I'll stick with you for a little bit, just so I can have a fun little thingy-majiggy of the whole yes.
Someone to talk to.
Yeah, someone to talk to about this thing because of so many times I'm trying to do party streams and having an opportunity for chat to be able to play in and such like that, and then it ends up being a case of because it's hard socializing and stuff. This is why I play video games most of the time. I need to do this test.
I want to try to get I actually set up
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. I actually set up Mario Party 4 and messed with Morse, trying to drag Z into it sometime just to see Like, you know, if we can manage it, but I've got no clue. Like, I got no clue, like, because everyone's schedules are too different, you know?
Yeah.
You know the struggle.
I understand. Honestly get it. Are you in Australia or are you in the States?
Australia, Victoria.
Oh, thank Christ.
So, like, I'm in the good time zone.
You're in the good time zone. That's great, because, like...
I'm not in that weird half-hour time zone that most of the other streamers are.
No, well, the other streamers are negative GMT time, where it's like 4 a.m. for them and such like that.
Oh yeah, there's a game where...
Yep.
So, I was exploring Pyramid, and I saw Tatsu over the body. He went to click on it before I could, but I managed to click on it before he...
Did you put it there?
Excuse me, I walked in with you on the...
No.
I just walked...
No, I saw Unity earlier while she was AFK by
Why
the
is my
palm trees.
mic not picking up my goddamn voice?
I don't know.
We can hear you.
Sometimes it was picking it up, and sometimes it
Dazzy?
wasn't.
Dazzy was
Also,
standing
side
on
note,
top
Grant,
of the
you
body. I
misspelled
just
in your
walked
title.
past Grant and Ripper.
No. Tatsu's above the body. I walked in on him.
In the period.
He was right
Dazzy
away,
was,
then I clicked on the body for me to
Dazzy
escape.
was on the body. I walked into the room. As I was walking out, I realized there was someone on it. Walked back in, saw Dazzy on the body, and he reported it before I could.
I'm just gonna vote Dazzy.
Where we're at right now. We are northwestern quarter of...
You know, why not? Let's do
Tatsu
it. YOLO.
went through the smoke.
You interrupted a fun
not the
time
killer.
with me and Ripper as we were just discussing
We're-
Australian
we're-
things.
We're
I'm
hanging
not
out.
the killer.
Tatsu was there too.
I'm not the killer.
I mean, that you're probably right,
Being
but
honest.
it's too late.
I'm not the killer.
Oh no, he wasn't lying. He wasn't the killer. I. Oh. Yonk.
So, Grant, we've made a terrible mistake.
Have we made a terrible mistake?
You should probably fix that. I'm just trusting you.
Okay, so hear me out. I am killer, but I didn't kill the... Why is my mic keep doing this? But I did not kill Unity, and I actually did just walk in on Dazzy standing on a box.
Okay. Because what that means is I know Unity was with us. I was in the middle of a task with Ripper. Ripper, you're not betraying my trust, are you?
Not this time. Maybe next time.
It sounds like you are betraying my trust.
Next time.
Oh, this might not end well.
No, I don't think it. Oh.
Ooh, maybe.
I voted for myself because I already said I was the killer.
Oh.
It's true. Tatsu did admit it.
Oh, I thought Tatsu was. Yep, never mind. I'm sorry for doubting
Tatsu,
you, Ripper.
Tatsu, you never vote for yourself. What are you doing?
I just wanted to put it out there.
You could have won! You could have won!
They knew I was the killer.
Yeah,
I mean,
so what?
He's actually right.
I didn't kill
You literally would have won!
I mean, yeah, but
I
unfortunately.
didn't kill you because I didn't want.
Like,
I know
literally
you
said-
didn't!
I want you to
Listen,
know, wait.
Lazarus killed me in self-defense! I was about to murder him!
I did nothing wrong.
I literally walked up and said, Dazzy, you're under arrest! Because I was the sheriff and he fucking murked me in the streets in self-defense!
Oh.
It was a fucking Wild West showdown!
Wait, what role was Darcy? Like the Falcon or something?
Yeah,
he was the
Dazzy
Falcon.
was the Falcon.
Hiding.
Tatsu was Warlock.
Because here's the thing. If the killer killed everyone else but me, I was gonna get a fruit win.
It's true, it's true. That's why I
So I was just hiding. I was just vibing in the corner. You didn't know who the fuck I was. Welcome back, Sash.
I still just love how I walked in, saw Dazzy, and walked out. I was like, wait a minute.
Listen, the only real loser today was Tatsu.
Yeah.
Who voted for themselves.
Don't worry, I'm bad at this.
Fucking
so
never
upset.
do it!
I-
Never do it, babe! Come on! Why would you?
To be fair, me and Ripper were not 100% in this round. I was just going on a fucking rant about, oh, it's hard socializing.
You voted for Ripper. You literally voted
you
for
betrayed
Ripper.
me. You betrayed me.
Tatsu would have won.
I'm bad at this game, okay? You can ask Dazzy. I don't play this game.
This is true.
Okay.
See, there was only one. The problem is there was only really one way
That's
that could have
no
gone.
excuse. I just got this game today, Tatsu.
I'm bad at lying.
Less than an hour ago. I've been awake for 48 minutes. 20 of which I was on this game. There's.
Unity.
It's fine.
I'm bad at lying. You should know this by now.
That doesn't mean you have to just own up to the truth. You aren't going to be weighed down by your sins, Tatsu. It's a video game. Fucking just play.
I don't know which one is the high pitched
Tatsu,
voice
I-
for Kuros.
I appreciate your honesty.
Thank you. At least someone does.
Yep.
I think it
I
was
disparage-
objectively.
I disparage your honesty.
It was objectively a poor choice, but I appreciate it.
So, Sash, are you back with us, madam?
Hopefully they are, because I just started a match. Oh no, it's... I don't like the pigeon or the demo.
You can. So actually, here's the thing. If a demo gives you a bomb, give it back to them.
Is it?
Well, how do I? By the way, what does the demo do?
The demo literally puts a bomb on somebody, and after 7 seconds, it starts ticking. After 7 more seconds, it kills them.
I don't want any
However,
of these powers.
Why are you the demolitionist?
Is there an underscore between... Like, hang on a sec. Does Unity have an underscore in their thingy-madoogs? At the end of their name. Okay, Unity VTuber underscore. Alright, that should be it. Hopefully that's the right way to do the thingy. Yes, it is the right way to do the thingy-madoogs. Hi, Tatsu.
Hello.
Wait. Oh, so... Can't go through there.
Asking me if I'm the demo.
Oh.
You didn't even let me do anything.
Listen, you stood there for
Brand, did you kill Sash?
No, I was...
I killed Sash because I was vigilante.
That was so
Sash-
fucking it. What the?
Sash walked up to both me and Unity and stood 5 seconds.
Stood for 5 seconds.
I am not gonna lie, Tatsu. I was so unprepared for that. I was actually interrogating you to find out what role you were, because I was the sheriff again.
So I knew for Sashura, if they move and stand still for more than 3 seconds, they're doing something. There's something's up with that.
Something's up. Just start blasting.
Yep.
Exactly.
I just got back from talking with Cass. I was seeing what was up. I wasn't doing anything sus.
Oh, I'm
by the
sorry.
way,
I'm sorry that some of us have social lives outside of the game.
That
I just think
weakness
it'd
is
be cool
yours.
for you all to know. Tatsu's character in D&D became a zombie today, so they're dead.
Oh, they're there.
I only figured this out 5 minutes ago when they were like, oh yeah, I think it's cool because your character's now a zombie. I was like, wait, they're a zombie? I knew I was smart now, but now I am zombie?
Nice.
Well, you were. Oh, whoa! What the? These rules are cool.
Well, now we know who player 1 is.
Yeah, now we just need to figure out what the ninja does and if that's a problem.
It is a problem.
It is.
I'll just read it.
roll
It says
that
you
kills
can kill
twice
2 people within range simultaneously, but your kill cooldown is tripled.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is run for the bell.
Wait. You
Whoever picked Vigilante's about to have a good time.
Oh wait, am I one of the ducks now? I've never been a duck.
Yeah,
is that what's going on?
I like how
Oh,
Unity was
fuck me,
absolutely
I'm
tearing
sorry.
into Tatsu about saying too much before, and now look how the turns have tabled.
You look...
Well,
Alright, chat. What? If you witness a murder, you can temporarily kill. Alright, here's what's gonna happen. We're running to the bell. we're gonna. All right. All right. Cool. I'm not too far away from the bell.
So I'm the vigilante, so I'm gonna go kill Unity real quick.
Okay. No, wait for the vigilante. God damn it. We were going to, I thought we agreed, we were gonna wait for the vigilante, but it's Unity.
I just wanted there's some chaos in the mix. That's all.
So
Okay, please don't vote for me. Dazzy's gonna be like a pigeon or some shit. Don't vote for Dazzy.
But if we vote for you, the round ends and we win.
Exactly. But this is my first time ever being Duck. At least let me kill one person first.
That's valid. That's valid,
Unity
though.
sounded like a dodo. They're a dodo. I swear.
Uh-huh.
I mean, technically possible, but incredibly unlikely.
Tatsu's the dodo. We do have a dodo, if I'm not mistaken.
Medium, actually.
We do have a dodo.
Dead people.
Mm-hmm.
But
also, I clicked skip by accident. Fuck.
Yeah.
I sent you a clip.
I can't wait
What?
to kill it. I was watching it. I was watching it, Sash. I sound adorable.
It's so cute, right?
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Even with like, hi Ripper. So, are you actually the vigilante?
I am, but I have to wait like 15 seconds. I'd have to find Unity before someone rings the bell again.
Alrighty then. You and I will stick together. Aussies stick together. I know, even though I'm like only a quarter Australian.
I mean, that's enough.
Yep. Hi, Sash.
Hi.
We've seen everyone but Unity so far. Where are they?
Yep.
Wonder if Unity's killed anyone yet.
I don't know.
I mean, by now, probably.
You would think so. Have you seen Unity? Oh. Down, 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 into the artisan. Hi, Unity.
Unity. Hi, Unity.
Okay, now Unity is killed.
Nah, she could still be dead. Could still be.
Oh my god, we nearly gave Dazzy the win. He was the dodo bird. Because here's the thing, Ripper is going to be running frantically.
We're lucky I forgot.
Chat has come together and thinks you should do 30 squats during the break.
I gotta do 30 squats because of the ad break.
I'll join you. I'll join you.
Alright.
30
squats.
We split up for 2 seconds, and Unity killed everyone.
You didn't lost.
I didn't win. What do you mean?
Because I was like, oh,
I don't know what happened though.
I was the vigilante, so I killed you.
Oh, well that's rude. I was just doing a task.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty rude,
but real quick, do you know how to get the sabotages yet?
No, I've been trying to click on the things on the map. It doesn't do nothing.
Alright, I gotta do squats.
So the red marks on the map.
Here we go, chat.
Yeah, there's like 4 of them.
For all 30.
Yeah, do those puzzles
But
first.
then I
and then
did
you'll lock
2.
it.
Like, no, I could.
Oh, so the thing that I was doing in the temple was for unlocking the whatever the fuck?
Yeah, it locks the doors.
6.
7.
Also, as an ninja, if you're in this mode, by the way, it regenerates your kill pack faster.
Oh!
7.
5. I did kill Tatsu and Grant, and I felt bad about it.
10.
Also,
feel bad.
12.
This game is way better than a month.
13.
Oh yeah. So what actually kind of happened in Unity was like after
I gotta do
stopped
30 squats.
from the very start, it's like I'm the vigilante, I'm gonna go kill Unity.
17.
And then I couldn't find you, and then was like I'm gonna follow you because I don't think you're actually the vigilante. And we sit up and walked around like 3 laps of the map, and then by the time that. And then, like, eventually split up, like, a building, and that's when he ran into him and killed them. Like the second we split up, he got them.
29.
I didn't even run into them. They followed.
Thank you, chat, for the 30 squats.
I was trying so hard to find
Pumpkin for Engrel.
Was following me, and then Grant ran into me, and I was like, whatever, fucking dead.
Alright, where was I? Oh yeah. Welcome to the stream, everyone! My name is Grant. I'm a variety himbo streamer.
I'm not upset. I'm not upset. It was very kind. And then I was like...
Today is Saturday, the first Saturday of the month, which means it is a party game stream where we're playing Goose Goose Duck.
Kind of
joining in with me are
roles are and things like that, because it adds that little element of what the fuck is just happening.
Joining me in today's stream is Unity, Tatsu, Dazzy, Ripper, and Sashera. All of these lovely beans are most likely streamers. Tatsu, are you a streamer?
I am. I don't stream often though.
All right, everyone in this chat, everyone in this session is coincidentally a streamer. How's it going, Blue?
I actually redesigned my current model.
Oh, that's cool.
I didn't redraw it.
Nice.
I went from being a thick boy candy bolt to a thick female candy bolt.
Ooh. I like the thick. But yeah, Blue is one of my moderators, and they have raided into the stream after playing Pikmin 4.
Is it any good? I haven't played any of the Pikmin, but I love the character designs.
Oh, more importantly,
is it what?
Oh, I turned my mic down. It was probably too far. Is Blue gonna join us?
Yeah, Blue. Hey, Blue. Would you like to join us in the free game Goose Goose Duck?
How many people can be in a lobby, by the way?
16 tops.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pinned in the chat is a link to the Goose Goose Duck game site with
so more
the
people
code.
Can join?
Yeah, more people can join.
That means more people can join?
Yes.
Okay. Would it be out of pocket to invite a mutual friend of mine and Dazzy's?
Yeah, you can invite a mutual friend.
Hell yeah. Alright. I think I'm gonna shoot an invite over to Tracy then.
Is it Tatsu that's doing the keyboard presses?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we talked about because you're on a mic that's sitting on the desk, aren't you?
Yeah. I turned my sensitivity back up because it was kept cutting down.
Yeah.
But if I turn it back, it's either I keep cutting down or my keyboard gets picked up.
Yeah, the only way you can avoid that is putting your microphone on like sort of a shock absorber sort of mount. Like I've got a monitor arm and it's holding the microphone in the
paid me to say
like this shock pad thingy-madiggy.
I don't care what gender you are. Put on the maid outfit.
Could also
cards I have here.
You can also call it.
I have like a box
I
of
don't
like.
care what gender you are. Put on the maid outfit.
Yep, I'm in a maid outfit now.
I need to draw my character in a maid outfit.
Do you have a maid outfit like unlocked, like in your chest?
No. Oh my god, the maid outfit is not perfect with the hyper himbo. I forgot to fix the
Yo, did you just? I'm not even joking. Watching that, it looked like you just ripped out of part of it.
It's not intended to rip. I'll tell you that much. It was just because like normally some parts of this, but one of the most recent additions to this is like there's not like before when I had the maid outfit running, this thing runs for like an hour. And normally you cannot make me topless while I'm in the maid outfit, but I fixed something up so you can make me topless while in the maid outfit.
Okay.
Yeah, and right now Blue is just pointing and laughing at me with his like ice Pokemon evolution.
I approve. Also, Glaceon best evolution?
I
mean, I like.
I don't have a personal
this is not up for
fave.
debate. This is not up for debate.
It's true. It didn't sound like a question.
No. It's just the best one.
All right, I'm just adjusting different piece
Glaceon
volumes.
and Sylveon are the two best.
I toss up between Sylveon.
I see you turning me down.
Well, yeah, because like it was commented like earlier on, and it was like, oh, I forgot I could like modify people's thingy-majiggies. So, because the game doesn't have like all the VST thingy-majiggies I have on comms, such as limiters and such. Actually, I don't think I even had those enabled on my most recent comms track. Nope, I just have like a side ducking thingy-majiggy. So, but yeah.
I have a necklace now.
Necklace.
Nice.
Nice. All right. So yeah, because it was commented that it was you, Unity, and Sashara that were like the loudest. So like everyone's like at 61 by default. Just gonna put Sashara at 40. Hopefully I'm not.
69.
And then Tatsu I put to 50. So not that big of a volume change. But yeah, Blue unfortunately won't be joining us, but that's he's obviously very happy with he's got his smug I think is Sylveon the one with the trans colors?
Yeah.
Yes. So
Sylveon, she's my favorite.
Yeah. So he's happy. Told me to suck a lemon, and then Furry Cures, who was in Blue's channel and mine, was like, Grant is so desperate to get people in. Yes. I am absolutely desperate. This is why I host these things. Sorry?
I was gonna say, joke's on you, Blue. I'm not gonna suck on the lemon, I'm gonna bite into it.
Crazy.
Yeah, I eat lemons like apples. They taste very good.
Wow. I refuse to elaborate. Because I don't know what I just said.
That hurt my soul.
Hmm.
Listen, you just dip it
Why?
in a little bit of sugar and
It's not my fault you have a weak bloodline.
That's true. Now that is what we call a skill issue.
You know what's a skill issue, Blue? That you're not in this game with us. Oh, you tired after playing by yourself?
Oh, Grandpa have to go to...
You have to go to bed at 9 p.m.? Actually, to be fair, this is probably going to be my last round, because normally I go to bed at this time.
It's only 9 p.m.
Yeah, I normally go to bed at 9. I normally end the stream at 9 p.m. So I need to remember to refund, where's the maid outfit redeem? Because I need to refund that, because there's no way I'm going to be on for like an entire hour. Maid outfit, refund. That way it goes back to careful. Yes, we've heard you're forklift certified. I'll remind what's Mahoozies. The next person I see, I will tell them directly. Did you know Blue Foxy Nicey Icy is now forklift certified for all your forklift certificated needs? No. Back away.
Grant. Bye.
Oh, you're a pigeon, aren't you? Get back here!
No!
Get back here, you pigeon!
No! God,
get back here!
What's going on? What's going on?
Dazzy's the pigeon!
Oh!
Dazzy's the pigeon, I was a sheriff! Oh, and then Sashara just throws insects on me. I was right!
What just happened? Sashara just killed.
I was right!
Killed Dazzy? What the fuck is going on?
I was right! Dazzy was a pigeon!
I don't know how to process that.
I am validated in my...
Sorry, I saw red. I had to act. I had to do something.
So it sounded.
Okay,
I was
I'm
just
going
hanging
to
out.
tell you right now. So here's what happened, alright? So Dazzy said...
Did you see it?
Something like sus as fuck. Grant's like, oh, you're the pigeon. I'm gonna get you. Dazzy's like, no, Grant's trying to kill me. Grant killed Dazzy. So Shira just walked up and silently shanked the bitch and then started laughing like a psychopath. And then Tatsu just sat there with me like, what's going on? Now, there are two worlds. There are literally two worlds. One in which Sash is the killer and Grant was the sheriff, and one in which Sash is the sheriff and Grant is the killer. And either way, the safe play is to kill her.
Oh my god!
There's no sheriff. I'm an avenger.
Oh,
That's what I meant by seeing red. So when I see a kill, I get a kill. It's fine.
This is...
I'll
I
take
was just
the L.
hanging
It's
out.
all
There are
good.
like 5 people run into the room and all hell breaks loose.
That is pretty fucking stars. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
I walked in to
was validated in killing Tessie.
Up with my mind.
Jeez, you could have at least given me the 50-50.
Oh my god.
Just to have some dignity.
Sash. I was the sheriff.
Okay.
And I was the pigeon.
And Dazzy did this thing where he like stood right in front of me or something. I was like, no, 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 and then he starts running away, and I'm like, hang on, this happened before.
Oh god. Because see, the Avenger is if you see a kill.
Yeah.
So I saw a kill, I had to murder.
Yeah, and then there's Ripper.
I want you to know, I did almost win. Yeah.
Question. How did I lose?
Okay, so if there's more killers, so if it's a 1-to-1, if there's one killer, one survivor, then
So yeah, and
What the fuck is up with my mic?
I am validated in killing Dazzy, because not only did I use my intuition and figured out he was the pigeon.
Grant.
Yeah.
Grant, you said your intuition. I pinned you against the wall and said hello there.
That's intuition. Never mind the phrasing, chat. That was intuition.
Okay. It's only intuition because you wanted to go into it.
No,
Oh.
it was intuition because as if Dazzy would pick someone against.
It's still work. Regardless, if Grant didn't kill me, you guys would have lost.
I mean, the sussest thing you'll ever see is Dazzy pretending to be a top. So, like,
That is you're not wrong.
I've never seen Dazzy pretend to be a top.
All right, I know I said that was my last round, but do we want to go one more round?
We could go one more round.
One more.
I felt so bad for the ending where it was Tatsu and I hanging out, and then I just got them, but I didn't want to interrupt you middle of a sentence.
Alrighty.
I was literally about to suggest that we go ring the bell as well.
It was just funny watching me like run, chasing after Dazzy, and Dazzy's like, "Grant's trying to kill me."
There was, like, I was activating the mummy sabotage, and then just all hell breaks loose, and I just didn't know how to respond to it.
That's the beauty of this game. You just shit happens. And you're like, wait, what?
okay, so I people were saying before that they didn't like the demolitionist, and I'm seeing it again up here. What does it do? Like,
it gives a
why
bomb.
is it so
It plants
restrictive?
bombs on people.
That makes sense.
Basically,
it?
they
How
put
do
a
they do
bomb
it?
on someone.
So it's a
Walk
killing
away.
roll where you get in contact with people to plant a bomb, and then a timer goes, and then it starts. So it's very.
All right, let's get that dosh. Let's see how long I can survive getting my dosh. All right, nothing up. Oh, damn it! I can't go through that thing. Annoying as F. All right, there we go. Egg done. There we go. I heard an explosion, and I see that it was a good idea because Ripper's dead.
Someone
It
blew
happened,
up
alright?
Ripper!
I was singing the hot potatoes. Oh, shush! So, I was singing the hot potato song because somebody talked about the demolitionist when I brought it up and asked them, and then a Ripper said, here's a hot potato, and threw it at me. And I was like, oh fuck, oh shit, oh fuck, and then I threw it back at them and they exploded.
Where did... So you got it from Ripper and you threw it back to him.
Yes. Yeah. I was an expert catch and throw. Like martyrdom, but not because I didn't die.
All right.
Nice. It does mean we have another control role that's still alive, though.
I'm gonna be honest right now.
Yeah.
Sash has been quiet.
I think Sash or you are the dodo.
No, I am the expert hot potato.
Real quick though, if you killed the demolitionist, the round would be over.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Unless it's Sash and Unity's the dodo. Although same though, Sash is quite a shit. So.
Yep.
Who is the hot potato? If you have the hot potato, you are. Oh, you. Ow! What are you doing? 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 Where'd you go? There you are. Ha ha! Hot potato.
Hey Tatsu, thank you for the bomb. Appreciate it. How's it going? I'm gonna die in 2 seconds. It's Tatsu.
Unity was just going hot potato. So I reckon Unity might be the dodo.
It's definitely Tatsu because I was hiding in the corner as an astral, just looking through walls. And then Tatsu.
So here's the thing. We all know that I already murdered Ripper. So it's fine. They threw a bomb at me. I threw it back at them. There is no demolitionist.
And the round would be over, Unity. I know you're being a dodo, but.
All right, we're voting for Tatsu in this discussion. It sounds
sorry,
like.
Unity. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know about that. There's a dodo.
It's Tatsu.
I have been singing hot potato the whole time. It is not me being suspicious. It is me having a song in my head.
It's you being a dodo.
Dazzy's hysterical.
Regardless, I'm dying after this if you don't vote on Tatsu.
Ooh.
It's Tatsu.
Oh, God.
It's Tatsu.
Oh,
you fucking moron. I'm dead now. Go to the bell now and vote Tatsu, Grant or Sash. I know Unity's a dodo. I got him with the bomb! I got him with the bomb!
I saw you and I saw you and Tatsu like running around and then like Tatsu blowing up and I was just like, what?
Well,
guys, it was Dazzy. Dazzy was demolition.
That was.
I was the one who voted for Dazzy because I was like, you all know I'm a dodo, but I'm not going to let you win unless you vote for me. So there's no way I'm going with your plan.
We still lose though.
Yeah.
But then Unity would have won. But no, it was because I was just sitting on the bell and then I saw Dazzy and I was like, oh, he should explode shortly. I wanted that validation.
Yeah. I had like 3 seconds left. And I just think Tatsu, I'm like, oh!
So Ripper. It'll be a cold day in hell before I go down like a chump like that. You really tried to scapegoat me?
I will be honest though, Grant. I was actually gonna drop the bomb on you until I saw Tatsu.
Yeah, no,
I realized that problem just now. I realized it only just now that I'm like, hang on, if I'm standing here.
I did like how Grant was just
hot potato.
Can I
Grant was
just
just standing in the
say, I
splash
feel
zone,
like
just
I did
waiting.
a wonderful job of being a disruptive little shit this game.
You did it.
Can I just say I'm always bad at being a killer?
Yep.
That it's okay, Tatsu.
All right. One
I
more?
did like that. I liked how
Calm down.
Unity got the same answer every time they went up to someone and asked, "Do you want a hot potato?" It's just always, "No, I'm good."
Nah.
Nah.
I want a hot potato. That's so yummy.
I'd like any kind of food right now. I'm kind of hungry.
Where's the hot potato? If you got
I had
the
one
hot
last night. I'm like,
potato.
I'm craving another one though.
Now I just want something with potato.
I was gonna
No,
order
worry!
like takeaway.
What?
But like
I wanted to
the
pick
fucking
one, but I
website
was
was taking
reading
too
the
long.
text, and there was a lot of text, and so it gave me random. I was like, this one sounds cool. I was like,
How come I didn't see the notification for Fluffy Corgi Butt? Thank you for the follow. Thank you, Fluffy Corgi Butt. Alright. This town ain't big enough for 2 people with a license to kill. Hey there, Tatsu. So, geese cannot see your victims, and will auto-report them when they get near. Can't report corpses. Your tasks are fake. Is for the professional. Vigilante. Vulture is eating corpses.
Grant.
they just hit I. They just hit I. They're reading all of
Okay,
the
I was
things.
gonna say like
Is there a reason why I can't vote for anybody?
Because
Okay,
we're
you
just
gotta
in the
wait till the
discussion
jury comes
session. So yeah, but just to clarify, I'm the sheriff. So, yeah.
That's sus as fuck.
Wait, what's your
so we have a
evidence?
professional and a vulture. Doesn't that suck?
No, there's a professional, not an assassin.
No, it says professional.
Yeah.
Professional.
That's what they
An
just
assassin
said.
can literally. Assassins, what they do is if you say you roll, they
Nope.
they know you roll. If they get it wrong, they die.
Thank you for the boops, Blackwing.
Professionals, though, if they kill somebody that doesn't leave a body, that means the vulture cannot eat the body because it's gone.
Ah.
Oh, sucks to be the vulture then.
May I ask why?
Because of the
that was
sheriff
called?
and
Yeah,
why was
why
the
was that called?
Tatsu, I don't know. Tatsu's doing something.
Just let me cook. My brain being funky.
Alright, Ripper, I think Tatsu might be a little bit sus.
So, well, yeah. I'm lost because we have a professional and I'm the vulture, so I don't really know what to do with my life now.
Oh.
So, I'll just... Sup? What are you up to?
Sup? I'm
I
being the
got
sheriff.
tasks and no win condition, so I don't really know what to do.
No, it's okay, it's okay. We just need to... Oh, stick with me. You know.
What are we doing, Step Zebra?
Okay, hang on. Let's just stick around here for a bit. Don't go too far. Oh, cool. You're still with me. Because, like, sandstorm and such, so slowly moving south. Ding, dong, dong, ding, 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 ding. Alright, cool. Alright, I'm gonna go into this, like, thingy. No one's in here. Pick up the scythe.
I can do fake tasks. Let's do it.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Helping.
Yeah, sounds good.
I'm not at all. I'm just kind of... I'm a wayward soul with no goal.
No, fair enough, fair enough. Alright.
Wait, as a vulture, can I go in there? No, okay.
Okay, so you can't go through the thingy-majiggies.
I still...
Oh, wait, I was meant to do a task in there. Hang on.
I like a way to stick it together so we can just report in case one of us gets killed.
Well, yeah, and I think it's a worthwhile strategy, so... And I appreciate you being honest with me. Just to the right here.
Oh, I don't have anything to gain, so I've got nothing to lose, right?
Yeah, no, fair enough. So...
I'm just a little guy.
Yeah, no, it's fair enough. You're just a little guy. It's just weird that we haven't, like, bumped into anyone else. You want to go in this room?
They're probably all dead. There's probably only one person left.
So how come we
In fact,
haven't...
it's probably just us and the killer at this point.
Yep.
Oh no, there they are.
There's the other people.
Hi.
There's literally everyone else. Hello.
Alrighty then.
So which one of you's the
Tatsu's
killer?
off on their own.
Oh, it's
I'm
true.
pretty sure it's either Tatsu or Sash, to be
Dazzy's
honest.
probably the vigilante. I am stalking Sash because I mean.
Oh, this
I
Tatsu.
just thought
Okay,
it was
wait, hold on.
appropriate.
Hey, look, everyone's
Who has what roles? Brett, you're a sheriff?
I have the stalker.
Brett, kill Tatsu, I'll kill Sash.
I have reason to believe that Tatsu is the killer.
Reason to believe that Dazzy's the killer.
So I'm gonna be
So,
real. I
real
don't think
quick,
either
wait,
of you
wait,
are
wait,
the.
wait, wait,
but
wait,
I'm gonna let me speak, please. I have something important to say. There was a body, so Dazarus did kill them, but they are not
No,
the duck because or whoever killed them, but they didn't drop
Brent
a
did.
body, so they're not
Or
the
Tatsu
actual
did.
fucking goose. Does that
Brent,
make
did you
sense?
kill?
I did not
Also,
kill.
whoever killed Sash, fuck you. My job was to follow them around all game.
Real quick. Wait, are you sure you didn't kill her, Sash or Grant?
I am sure, which makes me feel like as if...
Because if the killer killed them, you wouldn't have been able to report it.
Well, it
you
would have
can't
been
see it.
auto-reported. So
Yeah.
did you actually report it, Grand, or did it happen automatically?
It happened automatically.
It didn't. Wait, what? But there was a body.
Yeah, but it was reported automatically because it was done by the professional.
Unless it's a Canadian.
But the professional doesn't leave a body.
Yeah, unless it's Canadian.
Oh, then it was the vigilante that killed
kill
them, I think. Then, oh fuck.
Grant.
Oh my god, what's going?
I'm voted Grant. Just what? Why?
Because here's the thing: if Grant killed Sash and was sheriff, he'd be dead.
It was, by the way, just so you know, it was Tatsu that killed Sash.
How do you know?
Alright, then vote Tatsu. I'll kill Tatsu. I will kill.
I was standing next to Sash the whole time.
All right.
I'll kill. Tatsu. Then we vote out Grant afterwards. If
Bring Tatsu over here if you can. Tatsu, 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 Tatsu. Yay!
What the fuck just happened?
You see, the reason I was playing so had already lost because literally within the first 2 seconds, I talked in front of 2 people and walked into an invisible wall by accident.
Oh.
I didn't see that.
So I thought
didn't
I'd
see it
already
either.
lost, but then no, which is why I originally called the bell, 'cause I'm like, well, if I'm gonna lose, I might as well be the one that does it myself, and then nobody actually apparently saw.
All right.
I legit thought Grant shot her.
No, I didn't.
No, I
didn't.
couldn't.
I was, because here's the thing: is like I was willing to shoot Tatsu, and I'm gonna be real. If it wasn't for the whole group of you, I would have just gone, oh hi person, Ripper is a vulture, and then killed Ripper, just so then that way we didn't have to worry about the alternative win of the vulture winning by eating corpses.
By the way,
What
real quick,
corpses,
Sash,
though?
what role were you? What role were you?
I was just a bird watcher, guys. I was just bird watching. Y'all fucking killed me.
Look, all I'm gonna say is I got us the win.
Well, no, I got us the win by seeing who fucking did the deed. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I think I got the win because I killed Tatsu.
Oh god. So
No, wait,
so
wait,
listening, following orders means you're the hero now, Grant. Motherfucker. I was the one who told you to kill.
There was a vigilante among you. One of you could have killed Tatsu, but you didn't. It was me, the sheriff.
Dazarus was trying, and Tatsu was running away. You just saw where Dazzy was.
I just fucking duked.
And neither of you would have been even suspicious of Tatsu if I hadn't stuck to Sierra's side like a fucking dog.
So you're half right. I will say because Sash didn't kill Unity. Tatsu was the only one. It was either Sash or Tatsu because I knew Unity was the stalker.
Ripper was also a suspect.
Yeah, but Ripper
was the vulture.
Ripper was the vulture.
I had no way of getting out of anything, so I was just a wayward soul.
Yep. And it's
it was either Sash or Tatsu because Grant or Ripper would have killed each other if they were the.
And on that revelation, it is time to end the stream. It is now Oh, Jesus, it's almost 9:30. We need to have a look at who is online, so then that way we can raid some of you lovely viewers over to someone else. But before, I do all that kind of organization, a quick thank you, and a congrats to the people who have joined us into this game of Goose Goose Duck, Ripper, Sashera, Unity. Hang on, I can't read all that name. Dazzy and Tatsu the Bun Bun.
I'm keen
Oh,
playing.
thank you for having me, Mother Grant. Sorry.
Just quiet round of applause.
This was fun.
Yeah,
Well, Grant will be doing it next month as well.
Yes, I am very much enthusiastic in doing this next month and like trying to organize like a lot more cohesive cookie for Fizz with a much more organize it better so there's more people earlier. Cohesive, thank you. So yeah.
But yeah, thanks for the host because I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great. It was great playing with you, Ripper, because I know you streamed a few times. It was great playing with you, Unity. I know, because as I know there was a wish to do that. Dazzy, it was great to play with you again, and especially after you recommended Goose Goose Duck. I highly appreciate it. Sasher, glad that you were able to join us for a party game stream for the first time. And
wait, didn't I come to the first one?
I don't know. Can't remember.
Wait, Jackbox? No, you were at Jackbox.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I was late. I'm pretty sure she was.
Okay. All right. Who do we want to
Also,
go?
Lovey's in Grant's chat. Remember, this game is free to play.
It is free to play. So yeah, there should be very little excuse on my viewers on the next stream.
I don't understand why there weren't more people in here. Like, how did that even happen? That not a single person in your chat was fighting to get in.
I don't know. They just.
We had a couple. We had Jay and Ripper.
Yeah. Ripper came in from chat.
Next time, we'll get him.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like typically when I play party games, I have to kick people out because too many people are trying to get in.
Aw.
That's crazy.
See, I see most of Grant's viewers.
I had the same issue,
They like to watch.
Yeah, they're Voyagers or whatever it's called.
They're here to watch your glorious pecs.
You say Voyagers even?
Is that not the right term?
No, voyeurs.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's have
Chat likes to sit inside the closet with a Superman costume on.
Hey Dazzy, do you want to hang out after this?
Or I'll be doing Bish update.
This is for all viewers, Blackwing. You'll know this for next time. I'll make it more apparent next month. Let's have a look.
There's a pinned comment that says, "Hey, if you want to join, please do," with a link. How more transparent can you be?
Sometimes I have to shout it. That's just how it is. Let's have a look.
Have it on your overlay. Just have it on your overlay.
Oh damn, there is a sent message.
Are any of you familiar with Greenie Pika?
I am not.
No.
Greenie Pika is a
They're
panda.
in my recommended streamers right now.
That's cool because they are a green panda who does some cool art, and for some reason they're looking at a dude in a bath towel. What the hell's going on in that stream?
Oh boy.
Oh.
And he's in Hufflepuff robe. It's a bit weirdy. He's gonna need to explain himself. So for that raid message, we're just gonna be like, "What cha doing?" So that's gonna be our raid message. What you doing? And with like a judgy face.
What you doing?
It's just like, what you doing? Looks. So dink, and we'll get rushing into raiding. Otherwise, I want to say thank you everyone who came along to tonight's stream. I greatly appreciate it. I'm sorry that the hosting and all that wasn't perfect, but we're definitely going to be doing more Goose Goose Duck next month, and I will be sure to be a little more vigilant. You guys are welcome to join in. I'll send a Discord message probably tomorrow as like sort of a reminder of, hey, you're welcome to join in on the next one. I'll probably make it an event on the Discord, and otherwise I'll see you all next time. Bye, chat.
Thank you for having us, Grant. Pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thanks for playing.
Bye. Wait, where's the button? Oh yeah, I need to hit start raid.
I forgot to
shaking
with a raid.
Just shaking, and then then I click on the prepare. There we go. I have a clips are very appreciative. Dink, and then oh no, he took the naked picture away. Now it doesn't make sense.